Bespoke radio for the masses.
Headline edition, July 8, 1947. The Army Air Forces has announced that a flying disc has been found and is now in the possession of the Army.
If the game is rigged, change the game. Game changer.
I occasionally think how quickly our differences worldwide would vanish if we were facing an alien threat from outside this world.
This is Fade to Black with your host, Jimmy Church, on the Game Changer Radio Network and KGRA, the Global Radio Alliance.
I need your help to get to the year 1985.
You're listening to Fade to Black with Jimmy Church on the Game Changer Network.
What up, what up? Fade to Black. Bespoke radio for the masses. Today's Wednesday, November 18th. 322 days into the new year, 43 days left. For KJCR and the Game Changer Network and KGRA, the planets. I'm your oh so humble host, Jimmy Church. I'd like to welcome everybody listening all around the world, all across the United States. Hither and thither, to and fro, back and forth, up and down, east and west, north and south, far and near. Fade to Black. Tonight, we have very special guests, Kerry Cassidy and Mike Bara, right here. A nice, fun-filled roundtable discussion on the rise of ISIS in Paris, France. What is really going on? We've got two of the great opinions out there, and we're going to throw it all out tonight on the table. I'm going to be in the middle. It's going to be great. And if we can, we'll take your calls. 323-825-5045. We'll see. We'll see if there's enough room to get some calls in. Tomorrow night's going to be Fader night. Don't forget about that. Open lines all night long. Next week is jam-packed. Yes, we're going to have Costa back on the show and with a special guest, and we will announce that over the weekend. Wednesday night, Graham Hancock, right here on Fade to Black. Then next Thursday night will be a best of show. That's Thanksgiving. I will be in no shape to do a show Thursday night. And then next Friday and Saturday, 2 nights in a row, Friday night and Saturday night, I will be hosting Coast to Coast AM. So I got one little break in the action Thursday, Thanksgiving, but a very, very fun, busy week next week. And what's really cool about all of this is next week everybody's off work. It's going to be fun. A full house in here, and then going over to Coast on Friday and Saturday. And there's a reason why, because I'm the only guy that wants to work. Everybody else over there, they get the time off, but it's an honor and a privilege. So I'll be hosting Coast to Coast next Thursday and Friday. Next Friday and Saturday, and I will announce the guests for Coast to Coast when Coast to Coast makes the announcement. Okay, I won't preempt. I don't think it's cool. Let them surprise everybody. Then I'll announce it, but we'll probably get that out of the way on Monday. But great week, man. Get to hang out with the churchster all week long. And then Sunday's going to roll around, and it looks like my brother and his family will be in town on Sunday. So, yeah, I won't be pulling my foot off the gas. and then we roll around to next week. The week after, which is Q&A week with, on Monday, Von Setien, Tuesday, Michael Lee Hill, Wednesday, Leo Zagami. I got his new book right here, Confessions of an Illuminati. I got it right here. And so that's a fun-filled week. And then Thursday night will be a Q&A with some guy named Jimmy Church. So that's a 4-day week of Q&A. Wow. Just amazing. And then right after that, man, it's called Christmas. Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. Alien Snowfest. Oh, okay. Well, since I said Alien Snowfest. Alien Snowfest, February 5th through the 7th. Just go to jimmychurchradio.com, click on the banner, go and get it. The super early bird special still going on, $179. Go and get your tickets. That's George Norrie, Tom Danheiser, Jason Martell, Linda Moulton Howe, Stanton Freeman, Micah Hanks, Mike Bara, Chase Kletzky, Craig Campabasso, Marshall Klarfeld, and Richard Dolan, and me, all on the same weekend. And if you go and you get your tickets now, you get discounts on snow packages and ski rental and apparel and accessories and all of that stuff. Just go to aliensnowfest.com. The links are at Jimmy Church Radio. Okay? Now, where am I? The cleanse. The cleanse. Everybody wants the update. It's going good. It's going much better for Rita. But it's all good. And I got to tell you, and I'm going to say this right now. Yes, I see that Mark Tarana, like I was going to miss that. Follow us on Twitter at JChurchRadio. Man, Twitter is clicking. Man, who's got the new, who's posting the Fade to Black shirt here? Who is that? Let me back up. John Wishnack, sporting it, but we don't get to see your face. What kind of? We got a tat though. What's the tat say? What does the? Somebody tell me what John's tattoo says. Man, that's a gnarly tat too. Looks good. There you go. Sporting the Fade to Black shirt. Man, we sent out a lot of shirts over the last week. My goodness gracious! If you got a shirt, post it. Walter posted his shirt today too as well. Yeah, if you got a shirt in the mail, post it. Would love to see it, and we'll get it out there. All the other Fadernauts wants to see it. Let's see where I'm at. So the cleanse is going good, and this is what was trippy about how this works. It's I didn't want to give away a whole lot, but just let me say this: it's a tea bags, right? And it tastes great. It was, you expect it to be all medicinal and last night after the show, I was like, okay, all right. I was like, wait a minute. This is actually good. So I pounded 2 cups instead of 1. And there you go. Paid the price. But it's good stuff. So we'll get more of an update tomorrow. But so far, with all the fear that you guys put into me yesterday, it wasn't that bad. Oh, man. Good stuff, though. Good stuff. I felt skinnier today. You know what I didn't do today? I didn't eat. That was the weird thing. I'm thinking about food all day long. I'm working. I'm in the studio, setting up the show, talking to people, interviewing, research. And all I can think about while I'm working is, okay, now I'm hungry again. I'm hungry. I didn't eat today, and I'm cool. Pounded the coffee, which I'm doing right now. I'll do it right on the air. Check this out. Starbucks French roast. That's what I'm doing today. All right, let's get this show cracking. Happy birthday, Space Boy. Space Boy, 29 years old, looking good. Happy birthday, Space Boy. And thank you for all that you do. Seriously, thank you. Space Boy, 29 years old. Today, Owen Wilson is 47. I just saw the new Zoolander trailer. It got tweeted out, I think it was Bob, got tweeted out right before the show, and I couldn't resist. I clicked, I watched it. Yeah, I can't wait for that to come out. Also, today, comedian Mike Epps. How did Owen Wilson mess up his nose? And he's like the classic opposite of what a Hollywood star should be, right? With that nose. It looks like it was broken about 4 times, and he reset it himself. I just wonder how that happened to his nose. I've never gone and researched that. I wonder if that's out there in his bio. Go to Wikipedia. Comedian Mike Epps today is 45. And, of course, Kirk Hammett is 53. Billionaire Kirk Hammett is 53 years old. It's always good to see somebody successful, slinging the 6-string and making it happen. Kirk Hammett, 53. Kevin Nealon today is 62. And I almost didn't do it because I think Kevin Nealon's funny. I do. But I've been watching those commercials lately with him and Chris Bosch. It's some kind of medical, some big pharmaceutical thing. This commercial. And I've seen it like 3 times now. And I'm like, dude, you sold out. You completely sold out. And it makes you wonder. Everybody has got their price. I don't know what it was for Kevin Nealon and Chris Bosch. And I think Arnie Palmer's in it too. They got there's a force in there. But everybody's got their price. I understand Arnold. I get that. But Chris and Kevin Nealon, what is that price? What is the number where you go, you know what? I don't care about anything. I'll just go and make this commercial. I don't care. That check is good enough for me to just drop my pants. And Kevin Nealon did it, man. Lost a lot of respect. Okay. Our dead guy's birthday today is Alan Shepard. 1923 to 1998, died at the age of 74. Test pilot who in 1961 became the first U.S. astronaut and second human being in space. He was also the 5th person to walk on the moon, allegedly, and celebrated by hitting 2 golf balls from the moon surface. 2 years after being diagnosed with leukemia, Shepard died right here in California up in Pebble Beach on July 21st, 1998 at the age of 74. Now, apparently, the word of the month is no longer cheese. Apparently, it's yo. It's yo. Follow us on Twitter at JChurchRadio. Hashtag F2B is the sandbox. Email is jimmy@jimmychurchradio.com. Tonight, Kerry Cassidy, Mike Bara, a roundtable, ISIS, the New World Order, manipulation, mind control, Paris, France. What is really going on? We're going to discuss all of it tonight. You can email throughout the show, jimmy@jimmychurchradio.com. This is Fade to Black. I'll be back with all the news that you know nothing about right after this. Stay with us.
You're listening to Jimmy Church, Fade to Black.
Fade to Black will now pause for alien identification.
The station that talks the net. KGRA Radio. What's up, revolutionaries? It's me, Jimmy Church. Do you have an IRS or state tax issue? Well, I did, and I called national tax experts. My problems were fixed, done, fini, and man, I gotta tell you, it was a relief. National Tax Experts are a recognized tax office that services clients in all 50 states. It doesn't matter where you live. Give them a call. I'm telling you, they take the time to understand each and every client's individual financial status as well as their financial goals. And that's exactly what you need, my brother, when you're taking on the evil 3-letter. So, seriously, give them a call today at 1-877-909-5444. Again, 1-877-909-5444. Or go check out their website, www.nattaxexperts.com. That's NATTAXEXPERTS.com. Tell them Jimmy sent you.
9 out of 10 geneticists agree.
Fade to Black is not your father's radio show on the Game Changer Radio Network and KGRA, The Planet.
Hi, this is Chase Kletsky with Fate Magazine Radio, and you're listening to Jimmy Church and Fade to Black on the Game Changer Network and the KGRA digital broadcast station, where the Fader-Knots rock.
Hi, this is Rob Reiner from Anvil, and you're listening to JimmyChurchRadio.com.
What's up? I'm Chris. What up? This is Kyle Massey, and you're listening to Jimmy Church Radio.
Welcome back to Fade to Black. You know, I miss Chase Kletsky, Micah Hanks. Got to get those two back on the show ASAP. Tonight we have very special guests, Kerry Cassidy and Mike Bara, right here. Little sit down. Gonna make it happen. Tomorrow night is Fader night. Open lines on this day in history. In 1978, Jonestown. On this day, that's right, 1978, People's Temple founder Jim Jones leads 909 of his followers in a mass murder-suicide at their commune in the remote part of the South American nation of Guyana. And I was in Panama at the time. I was living down in the Canal Zone. And it was weird how we found out about it. There was rumor, news was hard to collect when you're in a third world country. No, before the internet, no cable television, nothing like that. We, no radio stations. We didn't have a classic rock station. We didn't have a radio station, period. We had nothing. We had nothing but our friends that we would hang out with. And there was, the rumor kind of went around. And then I saw the Time Magazine article, and we would get the Miami Herald out of Florida daily flown in to the Canal Zone. So that was our newspaper. Believe it or not, we didn't have a local paper. The Miami Herald would fly in every single morning on a plane somewhere, like into the Air Force Base is what I'm guessing, Howard Air Force Base. But anyway, so news was, that was a rare thing, and this was crazy, and Guyana is right next, not Ghana, but Guyana is, it's right there at the northern tip of South America, not too far from Panama if you think about it, but it was right there. And it was trippy. It was trippy. We were talking about Jim Jones last night, and then boom, today, the mind control thing. Jim Jones, 909. Wow. Fader fact. An average 4-year-old child asked over 400 questions a day. I got that. I vetted this today, and I vetted this fact today. And I just have to go back, and I have to look at my two daughters. And you go back and you think about when they were 4, 5, 6 years old. And this fact is wrong because it's more like 800 questions a day. And I miss every single one of them. That's a great Fader fact. All the news that you know nothing about. Okay, here's a gathering of the current events going on over in Paris. Last night during the Fade to Black broadcast, as we know, French authorities took the offensive, raiding a hideout of the ringleader in last week's deadly Paris attacks in an operation that ended with 8 detained, 2 dead, and one who blew herself up with a suicide vest. I hope she's enjoying where she is now. After the broadcast last night, we got back home and I just flicked it on. I was switching channels all night long, the live broadcast at the scene, waiting for something to happen. I gave up. I gave up when Rita rolled over and she's like, turn it off. And I did. And nothing happened. New issue of ISIS-owned online magazine. It's called Dabiq. It contains what it claims is a picture of the bomb that brought down the Russian passenger jet over the Sinai Peninsula last month. And it's a soft drink can with two components that appear to be a detonator and a switch. And I'm looking at that and I'm thinking to myself, wait a minute, that's a switch. So that means somebody had to flip that switch to activate that bomb. Is that a suicide bomb too? Is that what happened? Was it inside the cabin? It certainly wasn't down in the luggage compartment. Did they train a monkey, somebody to flip that switch? Because it wasn't a timer or some pressure-activated device. No, it wasn't that. It was actually a mechanical switch. Your old, typical double-pull, double-throw switch. So I'm calling BS on that. Reports are at least 25 more people were detained and arrested today. Weapons recovered. 118 more raids today, Wednesday. Yeah, they stirred that hornet's nest. The Curiosity rover is on its way to visit Mars sand dunes. The rover previously visited some small sand ripples, some drifts, but not full-on dunes. NASA describes one of them as being as tall as a 2-story building and as wide as a football field. And it looks to me in the photographs that I have seen, the imaging, it's black. Pretty cool. Curiosity is still hanging out in the area of Mount Sharp, which is a 3.5-mile high peak in the Gale Crater. The dunes are located along the mountain's edge. And as of Monday's announcement from NASA, Curiosity is only about 200 yards away. Now, it's 3 days later. It should be there. Interesting. It's going to be interesting. Let's hope they actually go and, dig under the sand. Do you think they might dig? That they might do something? We'll find out. The popularity of hoverboards, my Christmas present, by the way, from Rita. I haven't gotten it yet. Rita, I'll take any color, green, black, blue, white, red. Doesn't matter to me what color it is. I just want the one that they have in stock because I want it by Christmas. You know what I'm talking about? These self-balancing, like a Segway, but they're called, what are they calling them? Swagways. The self-balancing electric scooters. But cruising in New York now is going to get you in trouble. The police now are saying it's a $500 fine. And these things are cool. And I'm just almost a little offended that they just got to, poo-poo all over people's good times. I mean, what's the big deal? What are they afraid of? Somebody that can't ride them correctly? Those people aren't going to go outside of their house. Okay? They're not going to go out and embarrass themselves on it. But who cares? They go 12 miles an hour, peak speed. The NYPD said the hoverboards, that's the nickname, are prohibited by New York state law since they are considered motor vehicles that cannot be registered with the DMV. They sent out a tweet earlier this week by the NYPD's 26th precinct. And they gave a warning, and I'm quoting here. It says, be advised that the electric hoverboard is illegal as per New York City Admin Code 19-176.2. Now, the 26th precinct has since deleted the tweet, but a spokesman has assured everybody that it is considered illegal by New York police. But the text of the law that is in the since deleted tweet cited motorized scooters and says the term, and I'm quoting here, shall mean any wheel device that has handlebars that is designed to be stood or sat upon by the operator that is propelled by an electric motor or gasoline. I don't know here, call me crazy, but the last time I checked, hoverboards don't have handlebars. You know what I say? I say revolt. Revolt. I'm going to. I should take my hoverboard, get on a plane after Christmas, fly to New York, and cruise around. See if they arrest me. I can't wait. My question is, will it support my fat ass? That's the thing. That's why I'm cleansing. I'm cleansing now so I can effectively get the right battery charge out of that scooter, because I'm going to step foot of that hoverboard. It's going to go about a block and a half, and I'm going to have to walk home. I cannot wait. Rita, I don't care which color. It doesn't matter. You're not going to offend me. Any color is cool. A Norwegian hotel chain is banning bacon and sausages. Yes. Comfort hotels will replace the traditional breakfast items with plant-based foods to encourage a more, and I'm quoting here, climate-friendly, healthy lifestyle. Guests will also see the reduction in the amount of cereals and cheese on the menu. The chain says it won't serve products containing palm oil. They said that's environmentally destructive. The chain is part of the Nordic Choice Hotel Group, which operates more than 170 establishments in Scandinavia and the Baltic. Prediction. Go ahead. Move forward. Out of business. In 2015, China, and I reported on this, China claimed the record for the world's most powerful, fastest supercomputer for the third year in a row. Yes, it's called the Tianhe-2. It crushed the United States Titan in the esteemed top 500 supercomputer ranking. And that from a country with only 7% of the world's supercomputers. The United States, 46% owned by the NSA. The next mile marker will be achieving exascale. Exascale computation, which means performing 1 quintillion calculations per second, about 30 times faster than the Tianhe-2. Whoever gets there first could revolutionize, well, pretty much everything. And China is on track to beat us, the good old US of A, to exascale by early 2020. There you go. That's all the news that you know nothing about. I got a little bit more later. I do. I got some good stuff, actually. This is Fade to Black. Tonight, Mike, Bara, Kerry Cassidy, right here. We're talking all things Paris, France, ISIS, the New World Order, mind control. What is really going on with this crazy agenda that we are presented with and facing out of the Middle East? I'm your host, Jimmy Church. This is Fade to Black.
This is Fade to Black with Jimmy Church on the Game Changer Radio Network and KGRA, the Global Radio Alliance.
The station that talks the net. KGRA Radio.
Hello, I'm Katie, and you're listening to my main man, Jimmy Church, on jimmychurchradio.com.
Hi, this is Ray Hobbs here, repping the planet, and you're listening to my good friend, Jimmy Church, Fade to Black, on the Game Changer Network and the KGRA digital broadcast station.
Imagine no longer being tied down to your computer, but having the freedom to take live talk radio with you anywhere you go. TalkStream Live introduces our first ever iPhone application. The talk shows you follow now follow you. And your iPhone is now the fastest and easiest way to stay connected to the best talk radio on the internet. Let TalkStream Live transform the way you listen to radio. Listen to live talk shows 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Mobile talk radio from TalkStream Live. Now available in the iTunes App Store.
This is Toby Kebbell. You're listening to jimmychurchradio.com. Don't hurt me, Jimmy. I'm only little.
Hey, I'm Adrian Grenier.
And this is Ari Gold.
We're the Honey Brothers. We're of the Honey Brothers. Hey, I'm Adrian Grenier.
And I'm Ari Gold.
We're the Honey Brothers.
And you're listening to Jimmy Church.
The Revolution.
All right, you Fadernauts. Studio Dome has done it once again. A new Studio Dome Fadernaut special. Introducing the Studio Dome Boom Box Bluetooth speaker. It's got a rear-firing bass film subwoofer and dual 52mm main speakers. You'll never listen to your tablet or cell phone speakers again.
Just click on the Studio Dome banner, use the promo code Jimmy, and you'll get the SBB for $49 and free shipping. And get a Buddy 4-port USB charger for free. That's a $19.99 value right there. And they'll throw in a Buddy in the box. It's the best deal on the net anywhere. Just go to jimmychurchradio.com, click on the Studio Dome banner, enter the promo code Jimmy. Go Beckley Teppy.
This is Micah Hanks of the Gralien Report, and you're listening to Jimmy Church on Fade to Black, across the globe on the Game Changer Radio Network and the one and only KGRA Radio, The Planet.
Welcome back, Fade to Black. I'm your host, Jimmy Church. I'm opening up the phone lines right now. 323-825-5045. 323-825-5045. I want to talk about Paris, France, and ISIS right now. I want your opinions. If we don't have time for phone calls later on in the show, I want to speak to you now. 323-825-5045. You can also Skype in Fade to Black 14. I want to know your opinions. I do. This show is about you. It's not about me. I want to know. And last night, let me set the stage for this. The phone lines are now open, okay? 323-825-5045. Kerry Cassidy can't join the show until 8 o'clock. She's actually doing her radio show right now. So as soon as she's done on her broadcast, she'll be joining us at the top of the hour at 8 o'clock. Mike Bara is on standby. I can bring him in early, or we can wait until 8 o'clock, and I'll feel that out. You know, we'll see how we move along here. But I do want to talk to you. 323-825-5045. What do you think is going on? Is Paris, France, ultimately, is it our responsibility? Seriously, think about it. You know, the tragedy that they went through on Friday, is it because of us? Is it because we went in at everything that stemmed back to the original Gulf War Desert Storm back in 1991 with H.W. and Cheney, Paul Wolfowitz, and that crew? Going in, invading Iraq, occupying Iraq, the no-fly zone, allowing that to happen forever, all the way up to never left. And then, Junior, he goes in, and he invades again, 2003. And whether or not that was tied to 9/11 or not, none of that matters. The invasion is what matters. Those are the facts. And we go back in a second time. And then we pull out, didn't stabilize anything, and allowed the vacuum to happen there. And ultimately, the creation of ISIS, which did we do that? Did we stupidly? And we all knew, we saw the writing on the wall. Back when Obama started talking about this 2 years ago, 3 years ago, where the rumors were starting, let's arm, the terrorists and get them to fight against Assad. That sounds like a great idea. That sounded like a dumb idea. I remember, I remember the day that I read the first rumors about this and how Obama was presenting this as an effective way to overthrow Assad, which was stupid. We just went through Libya. We just did what we did to Saddam. Destabilized all of North Africa, everything that we had done, and then we're going to go. And all of that was a bad idea with no end game in sight. A war that was now 20 years old, 25 years. It's crazy to think about it in those terms. And then we want to go and do the same thing in Syria? Like, that's a good idea? Assad is Assad. It's his country. The people don't like it. Let them overthrow, but keep our nose out of it. And the only reason why I would say that, look, we can't stand by and watch some tyrant kill his own people in any country. But is it our job to be the police? No. We have the United Nations. We have other countries, and there's other, sometimes you just have to let people sort it out for themselves. We may not like it here, but to create a problem in Syria, just like we are dealing with in Iraq and in Afghanistan, it's no more stable than anything else. We've got 10,000 troops there that aren't going to go anywhere forever. And I look back at this and I think, what are our children going to be taught? What are they going to say? Our grandchildren looking back. Because we look back to the Korean conflict and we look back at Vietnam, we look back at World War II and World War I, these horrific wars. Horrific. 5 years. 5 years long. Whatever. This is 25 years with no end in sight, and we're about to go back in. Is it our fault? Let's go to the phones. Hi, you're live on Fade to Black. Who's calling?
Hey, yeah, this is Kim from Asheville, North Carolina. I'm just kind of stumped why this conversation is still going. Bless your heart. I love you to death.
What part, Kim? What part?
Well, the part is, it's like even in Syria, it was a democratic election. I don't know if it's because the Americans don't know Middle Eastern history and just believe everything that they see on TV, but this is Assad is a guy, he was a doctor in England, didn't want to be president. In 97, when he was elected in a democratic election, elected president, 97% voter turnout in that election. And that is unheard of in our democratic election process. 97% voter turnout. And they more than substantially elected their own leader.
Right. Well,
I don't understand if any country, it's like even France's response to the so-called event that happened, because I haven't been done doing my due diligence and finding what the heck are the facts here. Mm-hmm. It's like France's response is to go in and bomb a sovereign country. That's an act of war towards Syria, not towards ISIS. ISIS does not have a country.
Well, right now they have two.
They don't have a country.
Well, see, I totally hear you and understand your opinion. I totally do, Kim. I honestly do. But if you flip things over just a little bit, Kim, and think about the territory advances that ISIS has done, and they do have governments installed in Mosul and Raqqa, where they are, for all intents and purposes, sovereign. So that's, do they have the entire country? No, but they occupy big swaths of land. Going
why
into
is that? Because the U.S. has been supposedly intervening to fight against them for over a year now.
Which is back to my point. Exactly right.
Okay.
And is that our fault? Is the entire situation right now in the Middle East our fault?
Yes.
Exactly.
Yes, it is.
So is it our responsibility to do one of two things? Pull out.
Yes.
I mean, come home and let them work this out themselves, or is it our responsibility to go in there and clean up the mess that we started?
No, because we couldn't do that in Iraq. We couldn't do that anywhere. It's like, look at, if you want to still go back to history, it's like even when Saddam Hussein was in power, it was a stable country.
It sure was.
It was stable. He knew the culture.
And so was Libya, Kim. So was Libya.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. You know what? I kind of liked, in a weird way, I liked Muammar Gaddafi. I thought he was
Me too.
I thought he was a cool guy. Got the gold glasses. He's wearing the what do you call the colonel's braids on the shoulders? What do you call those?
Whatever.
I'm not
There's military,
some military jargon for that.
Yeah, but the thing is that like he ruled with an iron fist because he knew that's what it took to create stability. because he knew the culture. We don't know the culture.
And so did Saddam. And you are exactly right on that point. 100%. We do not. And Kim, not
or
even
the history of the culture, because it's like in that region of the country, it's so much history and so much religion tied
complex,
together.
yes.
And unless you were born in it, I have a son-in-law who's Muslim, and I listen to his knowledge of history, and it blows me away. He knows the Bible better than I do, right? Because he knows the history,
right? Because
that's his history.
Yes, and
it's ancient.
We when it comes to the tribes, all of the religions that are there are so many different
sects.
Yeah,
and different sects of a religion.
We don't have a clue. We don't have a concept. We don't know anything about what's going on that has been going on there for thousands of years. They've somehow always worked it out.
Absolutely.
And let them continue to do that. What I find extremely frustrating, and what really, I'm going to use a bad word here, it really pisses me off, that
I'm a nurse, I can take it.
that Iran and Saudi Arabia, Jordan, Turkey, all right there on those borders, choose to do nothing. And that should tell us something.
And nothing's being done to them.
No.
ISIS is not in those countries.
And all we do is sell them more weapons. Kim, you are smart, and don't go changing.
Because I listen to Jimmy Church.
Oh, stop it. Hey, Les
no,
told
it's true. It's true. You remind me of my brother, one of the most intelligent men on the planet. So it's like you remind me of my brother.
Well, you know what? So before I let you go...
You keep your eyes open. You keep your eyes open. And you don't take everything for fact.
Kim, before I let you go, just really quick, what should we do? Do we help Paris? Do we help France?
I think we need to come back and protect our own country and our own citizens and our own veterans, and stop meddling in other people's affairs. It's the old it's stuff we grew up with. It's like mind your own business.
Well,
nobody asked. Even it's like I deal with the ignorance of my fellow citizens here. That I'm like, why did we go into Iraq? Well, because they bombed 9/11. And I'm like, no, that was blamed on Saudi Arabia. It's like it's the ignorance of this country. We need to develop our own country. These other countries are ancient countries. We're adolescent. We're wet behind our ears. We know nothing of foreign affairs. We don't even know how to mind our own affairs.
Yeah,
our country's sinking. Why can't we just pull out, focus on us, build ourselves back up the way we used to be, and then when we're asked for assistance, give assistance?
Well, you know what's funny about the genius of ISIS? This is what's really funny. It's as stupid and backwards and inbred, all of them are in my eyes, is that what they want ultimately is they want to divide and conquer, get us to get in there with boots on the ground, and further destabilize the rest of the world. And if you think about that, it's a brilliant idea. And you know what?
You know what? But that's the idea that comes from our two-party system, divide and conquer.
That's right. And we're being sucked into it. Thank you for the phone calls, Kim, and don't be a stranger.
All right, thanks.
Welcome to Fade to Black. Who's calling? You're live.
Hello?
You're live right now.
Jimmy, this is Chuck from Kansas. How are you, buddy?
Hey, how you doing, Chuck?
Pretty good. Hey, kind of expanding on what the previous caller was talking about a minute ago, that how she says, we shouldn't have been over there before, we shouldn't have been over there. We should be minding our own business. I completely agree with that, Jimmy. However, we are over there now, and like me and you talked about, it's kind of we've caused some of the issues by going in there when we did. With that said, man, I feel like that we should try to put a coalition with the whole world and join in with Russia, hand in hand with them and stuff, and just take care of the ISIS deal. Maybe not the Syrian deal, because I don't want involved in that no more than I have to. But take care of the ISIS area, wipe that out, and get it done with. And if you have enough people around the world helping you to do it, it wouldn't take that long to get it done.
It seems that way, Chuck, and thank you for the phone call. You're absolutely right. I couldn't agree with you more. And we're stuck. We've painted ourselves in the corner, and you know what? If we go in and get Raqqa back and get Mosul back and stabilize and get rid of ISIS, then we go home. We clean up the mess that we started, and then we just simply pack up and go home and leave it to everybody else. So let me get to the rest of the phone calls, Chuck. But I totally agree with you. Thank you so much.
Thanks, buddy. Bye-bye.
Hi, you're live on Fade to Black. Who's calling?
My name's Greg, Waycross, Georgia.
Hey, Greg in Georgia. How are you tonight?
I'm doing fine. I was thinking about a book. It's called War is a Racket. General Smedley Butler.
Yes.
He made a statement. That the flag follows the dollar and the soldiers follow the flag. And then it talks a lot about us protecting their investments. We're at the expense, or our people are dying at the expense of the number one richest in the world, or the top 1%, as you say sometimes. And I think we just need to pull out and get our nose out of everybody else's business, like the other lady said.
Yeah, so you're saying enough is enough. No more American lives. That's it. But what do you do? But this is the other side of the coin here. It is we need to think about the other people that are being murdered and slaughtered just because of their own beliefs and religions, and women raped and the things that are going on there. That if we pull out and nobody else does it, and that is that okay? Because did we ultimately create this problem to begin with? And if you think about it, I'm a dad. Are you a dad?
Oh yeah, I am.
Okay. When I think about innocent children, 2, 3, 4 years old, that are losing their parents and their brothers and their sisters, and them being killed too as well, for something that is completely out of
family that's lost in the wars too. You say,
yeah,
I understand the loss, and there is a price to pay for a lot of this stuff. But I feel like we done a lot of the killing too, because I think we went over there in like Iraq, everybody was innocent.
Yes.
And we kill a lot of innocent people and children. And there's a price to pay. And I think the American people, America's going to pay for that severe loss of lives that we've done to other people. It wouldn't be no different than what Vietnam was. We've lost a lot of people, and look at the hearts that were broken, though. And
think about that, the tragedy of the families that are dealing with, stuff that I know nothing about. And that's the other thing about it. What was your name again?
My name's Greg.
Hey, Greg, thank you for the phone call and a great opinion. And don't be a stranger to the show.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Hi, you're live on Fade to Black. Who's calling?
This is Gordon.
Hey, Gordon. Which Gordon?
The Gordon Roop.
The Gordon Roop.
Yes, sir. How you doing, Jimmy?
Hey, man, I didn't know you didn't have a T-shirt, brother.
Yeah, I'm like, what's going on? Everybody's got a T-shirt but me?
That's between you and Whoa. You guys need to get that worked out. I'm just the
still waiting for my Fade to Blog membership here.
Gordon, we love you, brother. So,
oh, no, go ahead. I'm sorry.
I was just going to say, man, you called me, and I know you've got an opinion. What is going on in Paris?
Well, where do I start? Blood, money, where do I go? I mean, you have all these people, we can't do this with the refugees. Really? Take a look at the American Revolution. What did we do? We accepted British refugees, people who did not agree with the British regime, who wanted to come to the New World. Look at the Japanese internment camps.
How about the Irish, the Italians, the Polish, the Germans?
Well, I mean, the Irish part, that's a good thing you brought that up, because that was the beginning of the Great Potato Famine.
That is correct, sir.
And, you have all these people, America, to a degree, I can stand here and say America needs to clean up their backyard before they clean up anybody else's yard, before they criticize anyone else. But the laws of the land dictate we cannot discriminate due to race, creed, religion, or otherwise.
Well, I say the cutoff is 5 years old.
Well, you have these, you have some of these governors who are saying, let's kick out the people who are already here.
Yes, I can understand that, and I truly look. I'm telling you right now, one thing sets off here in the United States. We have another 9/11 situation, or some, 3, 4, 5 ISIS guys go into a Hooters or some nightclub or whatever.
That sounds like a great joke.
Yeah,
three jihadists walk into a bar.
Yeah, let that
one
happen.
One says nice vest, the other one says boom.
Yeah, well, and let that happen. In my opinion, will change very quickly. But the thing is when we vet and when we look at what is going on, bringing in a family, a husband and wife, a mom with their children, husband was killed over in Syria, and we're bringing in something like that. That is our compassion. That's what we need to do, and we can't say no to that. Okay, but we need to be able to differentiate. Somebody that could be ISIS in disguise, that is here with false documentation, and he's not here with his family, and he's here by himself. If it smells funky, you put him on a plane and send him back. That's what we have to do. We can't allow, because if it happens once, just one time, it's going to be that classic situation, Gordon. One bad apple spoils it for everybody else, and that's exactly what's going to go down. And so we have to get some kind of effective measures in place, because I have no issues with anybody from Syria, from Iraq, any families coming in here that have been displaced. How many? 11 million people have been displaced.
Just a couple. Yeah.
11 million, 250,000 people have died. Civilians have died.
But you have to, there are three main points I want to make. By the way, before I forget, a shout out to Space Boy on his birthday.
Absolutely.
I understand he's 74 years old today. 74.
He said 29. So is it 29 or 74?
Jack Benny was 29 for 42 years.
There you go.
That's all I'm saying.
There you go.
The 3 points I really wanted to make was, one, we don't have control over anything, no matter how much control we think we have. And, you have these people who are, look at what Donald Trump is saying. He's saying to close all the mosques.
Right.
I mean, here in Colorado, we had the Aurora shooting back 3 years ago at the movie theater.
Right.
At the Dark Knight Rises.
Right.
They didn't start closing down comic books and movie theaters.
No. And you're right. And look, it wasn't just Aurora or Sandy Hook. Let's go back to the Alfred P. Murrah building. You can go back. Think about that. That had nothing to do with ISIS or anybody else. That was one of our own wacky situations. That was
time and time again.
Yes, and so I totally hear you, Gordon, but I don't want us to lose sight of doing the right thing. And if we stop doing the right thing, then ISIS wins. And we can't.
Well, we have all these handfuls, all these haystacks coming to us. But there's only a handful of needles in each haystack.
Yeah, I know.
Are we going to burn down these haystacks?
Well, how do we do it?
We can't do that.
I know.
Exactly. There is no how. That's the whole trick to this. That's the whole illusion, is people are under the impression we have super filtration.
No,
and we
don't.
can do this in a heartbeat.
No, we don't.
There is no right way. There is no correct way. There's hit and miss. There's taking what you got and making the best out of it.
So, but if we turn into isolationist, right? We pull back all of our military. We shut down the borders. We don't accept refugees, and we stop helping the world, and we're only worried about ourselves. Is the wrong. The one thing that is great about planet Earth is we set an example for everybody else. that we accept all religions here. It doesn't matter about your sexual orientations or your color, your skin color, your religion. We accept, and we are open, and we are warm, and that sets an example for everybody else. And if we stop doing that, then leading by example goes away. And
it's not just that. The last country that, quote unquote, made borders like that was Germany. I mean, come on, we all remember the Berlin Wall. I mean, we all remember the fanfare when the wall came down, separating, the Ichstein Berliners.
Well, but
my German's a little rusty, excuse me.
But you know what? To some extent, Great Britain went through an isolationist period, and France went through it. Spain went through it, where they were just like, you know what? We're done with this. We're going to worry about ourselves. And
they did not have the Constitution that we have.
That's part of it. That's part of it. Hey, listen, I got Steve from Bluefield. Let me get to Steve, Gordon. Hey,
okay, well, you and all the faders have a good one.
Yeah, hey, go write Rita right now.
Yes, sir, I will. And remember to visit Amazon, where my books are fully available, and they're good and cheap.
There you go. Gordon got his plug in. Gordon, be safe.
You too. Later, brother.
Later. Steve from Bluefield, we got 2 minutes, man. I'm sorry about that. I had to get you in.
That's all right, brother. That's all right.
So
Jimmy, we got to get out of there.
Yeah, I know.
We got to get out of there. There's no win. There is no win over there.
Yeah, 25 years is enough, isn't it?
First of all, I understand helping people, and I'm all for helping people. And there's a lot of people that need help. But damn it, Jimmy, this country needs help.
Yes.
If we don't step back and fix ourselves, we'll never be able to help anybody in the future.
Right.
We've got to step back and take care of the United States of America.
That's right.
And the people that's in the United States of America.
That's right.
And then after we get things fixed here, then we can lend a helping hand again. But until that happens, Jimmy, pack our bags.
Yeah.
Get your stuff, pack your bags. Let's get the hell out of there.
Yeah, I think it's come to that point, and as much I think we need to figure out a way to kind of do both. I definitely feel that the Obama administration.
Well, I understand what you're saying there.
You know what's funny? Going back to the Vietnam War. This whole, we need to make war more civil, and no collateral damage, and we got to pick our targets, and they can't bomb. That's not what war is about. If you're going to go to war, you do it to win and get it done, and that's it. And because we didn't handle our situations, we shouldn't have gone there in the first place, but because we're just doing this selective thing, that's why ISIS is where they are right now. If we would have taken off the gloves and just dealt with it when it started to get out of control, we wouldn't be here today. That's.
Jimmy, how is it that you bomb a city, bomb ISIS, and you're going to have collateral damage?
Yep.
Okay, it happens. Okay, we bombed your city and we destroyed 10 buildings, and in 2 months we're going to build you 20 new ones. We're going to build you 20 brand new buildings because we're sorry we tore up 10 of yours.
Right. Well, it doesn't work. We just need to pull out.
Work.
We need to pull out, and we need to figure out a way to get rid of ISIS and then pull out. I don't think we can pull out.
The only way possible that we have any way that we stay over there, the only way I see us staying over there is you have to have a coalition of countries that is basically like you had in World War II.
That's right. We can't do it alone. Hey, Steve, thank you so much for the phone call, brother.
Appreciate the time, Jimmy.
I'll see you tomorrow night.
Bye.
Fade to black. When I come back, Mike Bara and Kerry Cassidy right here. I'm your host, Jimmy Church. One short break. Don't touch that mouse.
Way out here, we listen to Jimmy Church.
You're listening to Fade to Black.
Always on the edge of the hottest alternative talk. Jimmy Church with Fade to Black. KGRARadio.com.
¿Qué tal, mis amigos? Yo soy Mario Carson, el tiburón, y los invito para que escuchen a mi buen amigo Jimmy Church Radio. ¡Claro que sí!
Did you ever turn to your radio for your favorite talk show to find that it's been preempted for this?
In the air to deep right center. Back goes Lewis to the wall, and it's out of here!
Or this?
And I'm ashamed of you, Hillary, for voting for it.
Do you have a favorite talk radio program that's not available in your city? Just go to TalkStreamLive.com for links to the best streaming talk radio shows. At TalkStream Live, you will find live talk shows 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. All your favorites are here. With such a large selection, you will also discover some new favorites. On the go and still want to listen? With the mobile smartphone, simply type TalkStream Live on your internet browser. Now you can take internet radio with you. You will also find hundreds of music, news, and sports streams. Best of all, the TalkStream Live directory is free and there's never a login required. Remember TalkStreamLive.com, the fastest route between you and your favorite talk radio show.
You are listening to Fade to Black with Jimmy Church on the Game Changer Network.
Oi, oi, I'm Reese Evans. You're listening to Jimmy Church. This is Revolution. The revolution will not be televised. The revolution is on radio. Ciao.
Welcome back to Fade to Black, bespoke radio for the masses on the Game Changer Network and KGRA The Planet. I'm your host, Jimmy Church. Tonight, we have very special guests, Kerry Cassidy and Mike Bara. We're going to have a nice, fluid roundtable discussion on Paris, France, ISIS, the New World Order, and how we got here. Mike Bara is a New York Times bestselling author, screenwriter, lecturer, a self-described born-again conspiracy theorist. Mike's first book, Dark Mission, The Secret History of NASA, was a New York Times bestseller. He has spoken at the Bay Area UFO Expo, the Conscious Life Expo, the Roswell UFO Festival, Contact in the Desert. He appears on History Channel's Ancient Aliens, Hangar One, The UFO Files, Aliens on the Moon, and Discoveries, Uncovering Aliens. His latest book is Ancient Aliens and Secret Societies. Kerry Cassidy. Kerry is a documentary filmmaker, investigative journalist, and host of Project Camelot, Whistleblower Radio, and Camelot TV. Her website and YouTube channel, Project Camelot, are leaders in alternative media with millions of views and over 118,000 subscribers to her YouTube channel. Kerry travels the world conducting interviews and documenting the testimony of whistleblowers with above top secret clearances, as well as authors, researchers, experiencers, covering conspiracies, the secret space program, black projects, ETs, and ascension and free energy. Of course, her website is projectcamelotportal.com. I would like to welcome back to Fade to Black, Kerry Cassidy and Mike Bara. How are you two doing tonight?
I'm doing okay. I can barely hear anything, Jim. Can I call back in on Skype? Would that help?
You can go ahead and do that. Give that a shot.
All right. I'll be right back.
Hey, Kerry.
Hey, Jimmy.
How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing good. Mike, I tried to connect via Skype, and it just wasn't working out. So I call him on his cell phone, and then he says I can't hear anything. So there there's a joke there. I'm just going to let that go. Kerry, I've got some noise in the background with you, some wind. Do you know what that is?
Yeah, it's very weird. I don't know. It just cropped up when I called you. Let me hang up here and try you again.
Okay, let's do it again.
Oh, that is so much better.
Okay, all right. Yeah, now I've got you.
Good.
Kerry's got some noise in the line, too, so we'll figure this out. She's going to call back, or I can actually... if it doesn't work out, we'll call her. Skype is weird. What I want the audience...
No, that was my phone.
No. Hold on. Let me explain something to the audience. when you are on Skype and you are calling somebody, the pipeline, the software is running from you out to somebody, okay? And if it's funky, then if that person calls you back, then the pipeline is running in the opposite direction, and that sometimes cleans it up. But if you now have two people on the line at the same time, and it's going out at the same time, sometimes the send and receive is funky, and you have to get the right combination of who's calling who, right? and then somehow you get the right combination, and then everything is nice and clean, and you just never know until you set it up. So that's what goes on. It's weird because I'll do conference calls with 10 people, right? Mm-hmm. And if one person is out of sync, it'll mess it up for everybody. So sometimes that person has to be hung up on, and then they have to call you back, or you hang up on them and call them back, and you just got to get the right combination of everything. And when you do, it's great. When it's right, it's brilliant.
Yeah.
So while we are waiting for Kerry, let's back up to Friday, Mike, and let's start talking about this before we go backwards in time too, as well, before Friday. But here we go with Friday. The news started breaking Friday morning about the attacks in Paris. And what was the first thing that came to mind for you?
Well, I mean, I was actually at the office. I wasn't even at home. I started getting text messages from my brother Dave, who was telling me what was going on in Paris. I went on the internet and checked, Drudge Report and a few other sites like that, and tried to get an idea of what was really happening. And what happened for me was two things. First of all, it was furious anger at these people and wanting to kill them on a massive scale was my first emotional thought. And the other thing is, I kept seeing people say that they were shocked by these events. Like U2 was shocked that this had happened right next to their hotel and they had escaped. And, it's like, how can you be shocked? I mean, this has been coming since September 11th. How can anybody be shocked by this? This is what Islam does. This is what they do. This is what they've been doing for the last 15 years. I mean, going down the list of things that have happened even since 9/11, we had the UK bombings in the tunnels. We had the bombs in Spain where they bombed the train station. We've got these attacks in France. I mean, we've had one thing after another, after another, after another. So, to me, the only people who might have been shocked by this, I guess, are liberal Democrats who don't want to believe that these people are dangerous. I mean, literally, Bernie Sanders, John Kerry, and Barack Obama and Al Gore, all four of them had made statements recently that climate change, which, by the way, doesn't even exist, was a bigger threat to national security than terrorism. So you got the last three Democratic presidential candidates and one that a lot of people would like to see be the next one, saying that global warming is a bigger threat to the planet than ISIS. Well, not if you live in Paris, Jim.
Yeah, right. Well, and I hear you on all of those points. I'm not too sure about this being a political issue, Democratic, Republican, or what have you.
Well, you will be by the time I get done talking about it.
Well, in that, I think that if we go with the political side of it all, then it's not 9/11, but it goes back to 1991 when Dick Cheney decided to have the brainiac idea of pitting Saudi Arabia against Saddam Hussein and putting Kuwait in the middle and starting another war because we didn't have the Soviet Union anymore as an enemy, and let's go and get something else going and let's go make some money. And
that's a very fanciful interpretation of the events, but I understand it's your perspective, and I respect you and love you very much.
Well, but that original invasion of Iraq, we never left. And that's 25 years ago. So it's not about 9/11. We just re-invaded Iraq. We were already still there.
Well, if we were still there, that's not really true. If we were still there, we wouldn't have needed to move all the troops over and invade it again. So we went in and then we went out. And I would remind everybody that was alive in 1991 that there was intense pressure on George Herbert Walker Bush to not take it all the way to Baghdad. It came from the left side of the aisle in the U.S. Congress. They gave their permission and their support for Operation Desert Storm on the condition that the U.S. did not remove Saddam Hussein from power. So the reason that we then subsequently pulled back and ultimately left was because that was what the political left forced us to do. And there were a lot of people on the right at that time who said, look, if you do not finish the job, we're just going to have to come back in 10 or 15 years and do it again because something else will happen. And they're the ones who turned out to be right because other things did happen. And this is taking the non-conspiratorial view of events.
Sure. Even though you're a little clouded, if you think about it, we were still there occupying and instituting the no-fly zone. We never fully pulled out.
Well, yeah, we did that for a while. We really weren't operating too much in Iraqi airspace by the time it was over, though. We had a little bit of we had some operations going on up in the Kurdish region, and the Saudis gave us a couple of bases, and I think we had a base in Kuwait. But it was nothing compared to the presence we had when we went in
right now
for the initial war.
And I want to welcome Kerry. She's right here. And Kerry, before I pull you in, I do want to remind everybody that all of this, everything that we see today is not simply a black and white, non-conspiratorial view of the situation. I think that there is a lot of reasons way outside of politics that caused all of this, whether it's Halliburton, whether it's Blackwater or ExxonMobil or rebuilding the infrastructure or making money selling bullets or whatever. There was other things that were pushing this along and not just, right, left, and Congress and doing the right thing or the wrong thing. There was other things that were pulling all of this in. So, Kerry, welcome to the program. How are you?
I'm fine. I'm a little shocked, I think, by what I just heard Mike Bara say. Hi, Mike. How you doing?
Hi, Kerry. I'm doing well. How are you?
Well, I'm well. Let's see.
Kerry.
Let's just kick off this whole thing by being intelligent about it. ISIS is a creation of the CIA, the Israelis, and
there's no evidence of that.
Well, hold on, Mike.
Tremendous amount of evidence, and I have whistleblowers that tell me this. Scott Bennett, who worked for counterintelligence, and I've done a very long interview with him. He's been interviewed in every radio show, talk show, you name it, including RT.com. He's gotten into the mainstream. He was definitely very involved in all of this, and he can tell you, and I encourage you to watch my interview if you have this strange opinion. And he's not the only one. It's now being said. It's being said all over by there's a new military guy that just came out about it. We're talking about the Israeli Secret Intelligence Service. That's what ISIS stands for. I mean, get a grip on reality here. The evidence is extremely plentiful that this was and has been engineered. In fact, this whole ISIS, ISIL, you name it, IS, is a construction. They are financed. They are trained by the CIA. And this is a desire to have a war, a World War III, an Armageddon, because they didn't have it when they wanted to have it back in 2012. And what did France do the minute this thing happened? They launched their planes to go bomb Syria, just like good little children that had been told, that you're going the wrong way. No, you have to go this way. And so, they got into the lockstep right away. There is so much to this that it smacks of false flag, conspiracy, you name it. The information is just all over the place. It's everywhere that you could possibly want to find it, and even the mainstream is getting a trickle of the truth in this case.
Kerry, let me jump in really quick. I'm going to reset your line. I'm going to call you this time, okay? I just want to reset the line and see if it fixed the hum in the background. And so let's just do that now because we're going to be talking for the rest of the night. Okay, so I'll call you right back. Stay right there. Mike, I'm going to say one thing with what Kerry said, though, which is all of this, when we talk about ISIS being created by the CIA, that's exactly what Obama himself was talking about a couple of years ago, that we were going to go and train the counterinsurgency there, and that was the intention, and we were going to do that, and to overthrow Assad. That isn't something that Kerry has made up or other whistleblowers have made up. This was something that Obama talked about as the right strategy for the overthrow of Assad. Wow, Kerry, I've got some weird noise in your line. I just don't know what it is.
Okay, well,
it's better. It's better, though. Okay, forget that I said that.
Right now, so you might just hear me moving my computer, just so that you're not picking up another computer I have in the room in the background. So is that better?
Yes, it is. It's beautiful. It's perfect.
Oh, great.
Okay, now we're good. And so what I was just saying to Mike about, without going into the false flag side of things, and I want you to I want you to answer the same question that I threw at Mike, and I want to kind of set the tone there, which is on Friday when you started to hear the news coming out of France from the beginning, and then how it ended in the evening with the concert hall and the Eagles of Death Metal. What was the first thing that you thought of at that point?
Well, the first thing that I thought of was, the symbolism, because the first things I heard about it, and I wrote an article about it, it's available on my website. It talked, and my website got taken down as a result of that article, because I was one of the first people, I think, in the alternative sector to really put some kind of analysis out there, let's say. So it is about what the Pope said, because it was interesting that a lot of feedback about the event came to the fore. I was just on a live stream event with Sean David Morton. He was saying how, 42 minutes after the attacks, they already had the names of everyone. They had the very convenient and false Syrian passport that was just laying there very conveniently. Apparently, there have been duplicates now found all over Europe. In other words, what I saw and what I started to investigate right away was the fact that, wait a minute, it's Friday the 13th. Symbolism. The Templars were basically they tried to destroy them on Friday the 13th, and it happened to be the French leader who was involved. So what is this, payback? That's the first thing. The next thing that happened was the Pope, who, to me, the Vatican being representative of the reptilian faction, coming forward and saying, and I have to get around to it, but basically that this was quote unquote inhuman, and I'm wondering just how inhuman, and someone else said non-human, and so I'm like, yeah, right, this would be backed by the Anunnaki, Luciferian Anunnaki out of Israel, and so he's telling it like it is. And the next thing he said was that it was piecemeal World War III, and I thought, peace and meal. Oh, he's talking about another blood sacrifice, and this is a meal of blood. So if you just listen to what's being said right out in the news right away, this is what I was being bombarded by. So, and then the other part, if you want to know the emotional part, I adore Paris. I go to Paris as often as I can. I spend my birthday there. Okay.
Right.
And it's not easy to go to Paris. It's not cheap. I've spoken in Paris. I just adore it. So, you're really hitting a place that I adore and want to see make it through to the next centuries. So I'm sorry, but, of course, I'm always looking at the conspiracy angles, because everything in the end on this planet is a conspiracy. And I'm going to just come out and say it.
Well, not everything. I'm getting an echo. Somebody's not wearing headphones. One of you's not wearing headphones.
I got my headphones in, pal.
Okay.
Okay, well, I'll put on headphones and we'll see if it goes away.
Yeah, cool. Is not everything is a false flag. We have false flags all the time. They occur. It is reality. Our government seems to run that way. But the false flag bandwagon on Friday, I don't think that we were able to collect enough information to go there. And if it was a false flag, we wouldn't be able to put that together for months or even years anyway. And jumping on that side of the fence, I think, is premature, not only for me or for Mike or for you, Kerry, or our audience or the world in general. We need to sit back and collect information first. When I was reading the false flag reports on Friday, I hosted Coast to Coast Friday night during everything that was going down in Paris. And I was not going to go there. I just felt like it wouldn't be the right thing to do to suggest that when I myself didn't collect enough information. And I thought, how can anybody else make those claims when we don't even know what's going on in Paris, that it's immediately a false flag? Either one of you can respond.
Okay, yeah, well, I concur with that, and I don't see any evidence that this is the case. I don't see any evidence that this is anything other than typical behavior of Islamic extremists who have operated this way for years and years and years, going way, way back into history. The fact that it was Friday the 13th, yeah, ISIS and Al-Qaeda and all of those groups, they do keep track of all of these symbolic dates.
Sure
they do operate on them. It was done deliberately because it was Friday the 13th.
That's right.
It was aimed at the heart of the Templars, which was in France at the time. King Philip, I forget his number.
Philip the Fair the First.
Philip the First, who, in cahoots with the Catholic Church, went after the Templars on that day, arrested basically all of them, and tried to extract their treasure from them through means of torture. All this stuff was done on Friday the 13th, 1307. And I forget the exact month. I want to say it was October. Okay. So, yes, they do operate on this basis. And, to blame this on the Jews, which is the same, and I'm really, you got to keep your finger on that 7-second button tonight. That's all I'm going to tell you, Jimmy.
Well,
to blame this on the Jews with no evidence, and especially coming from an anti-Semite like Sean David Morton, it doesn't really wash with me. And I'm not going to buy that. I think sometimes you need to just place the blame right where the blame belongs. I mean, there was a soccer match earlier tonight in Turkey, and the Greek team was playing the Turkish team in what's called a friendly. That means everybody's supposed to be friendly with each other, and they're going to play soccer. And there was a moment of silence for the victims of Paris, okay, which number in the hundreds. And during the match, the crowd, during that moment of silence, the crowd started jeering, and whistling, which is the European, Middle Eastern equivalent of booing, when it was announced that they were going to have a moment of silence. And then they started chanting Allah Akbar over and over and over again, which of course is the death call of the Islamic militants. So it may be true that there are, quote, good Muslims out there, and it may be true that the religion at some level is peaceful, but there sure weren't any in that soccer stadium. There was a good 70,000 people that certainly were not in any kind of mindset that could be equated to peaceful or compassionate or human at all. In fact, they were jeering people that had been murdered by their compatriots. They seemed to me to be cheering for jihad and murder and terrorism. And I don't know, maybe it's just that all the bad Muslims happen to be soccer fans.
Well, I have to, let me jump in. The first thing about the Friday the 13th situation, I brought that up on Coast to Coast on Friday night, and I was shocked that not one mass media outlet made that connection.
Right, because they don't want you to think that way, Jimmy. They don't I'm with Kerry in that I'm also a conspiracy theorist. We might disagree on that, but on this particular incident, but the truth is, yeah, they don't want you to start thinking that way. They don't want you to know that that's the way NASA, for instance, has operated for years and years. But go ahead.
Yeah, they're going to end up interrogating one of those cats, and he's, they're going to, so why, what? It was Friday the 13th, man. That's why we did it. Mm-hmm. I think it is going to come out on that day. That's not the reason they did it, but it's the reason they did it on that day. Right. Now, but before we go off on the Muslim side of things, I will say, I will err on the side of caution here and just say this. If it was a Muslim country that had invaded the United States and occupied us for 25 years, we'd be screaming all holy hell too. So that we have instigated, we are responsible for a lot of the bad vibes against the United States. We've killed men, women, and children over there for 25 years.
We were requested by the government of Kuwait to come in and expunge Saddam Hussein. We did not start it. They formally asked us, please come over and get these guys out of here and give us our country back. And we put together a worldwide coalition. We went through all the legal steps, and we led the invasion because we had the military capacity to do so. But I might remind you, we did not go in there. They asked us. They asked us to come in. That is a matter of record.
Wait, Kerry, before you interject. Yeah, that was the matter of record, Mike, and that's what we were told. But what was going on behind the scenes with Dick Cheney and the Bush White House and playing both Saudi Arabia against Iraq on the other side and formulating the war and selling munitions on both sides. We gave Saddam Hussein the green light to invade Kuwait. We
didn't. That's ridiculous. That is liberal BS.
No, it's not.
That is CNN created baloney, Jimmy.
I never heard it on CNN.
That is a complete distortion of what took place. There was a diplomatic meeting between a female, I forget her name, representative of the Bush administration, and there was a misinterpreted comment.
There was a misinterpreted comment. I'm sorry, this is a fantasy.
No, it's not a fantasy.
I would like to be able to say something. It's called Project for the New American Century, Wolfowitz, Rumsfeld.
That was 1999. That was 1999. That's 9 years later.
Hey, guys, bad radio. One at a time, please.
Hello, they didn't just think of it the day they wrote it. You have to wrap your mind around this. This is a New World Order agenda that's been put in place since the 1930s at the very earliest, or latest, actually. We're talking about Germany. We're talking about the paperclip scientists that came over as part of that program. We're talking about an ideology, read Jim Marrs, the Fourth Reich. Hello, look at the United States. Look at all the freedoms that have been taken away from us since 9/11. Terror only serves those in power. That's what it's all about. This terror attack is serving those in power very well, as a matter of fact, because people like you are in the complete dark as to what's really going on a deeper level. And, with all due respect, and, I like your work, Mike. I think you do some good stuff. But in this area, you are like lost, like a little lamb.
No personal attacks here. Let me say this. With what Mike has said and with what your position, I'm serious about this. It's somewhere right in the middle.
No, I think you'd like it to be, Jimmy, but I'm afraid it's not. Humanity on planet Earth has been under the gun since the beginning, at least as long as you can remember, and much further back than that. We're talking about an Anunnaki race that came in and genetically re-engineered us to age very quickly, to die, to follow orders. We have a division in the human race. Some have what I call, and I named my album after it, a rebel gene, and some simply do not, and they just follow orders. So this is what we're really talking about. It's a much bigger picture than just an incident in Paris recently.
Mike,
it's not. It's not. Jimmy. And here's why it's not. The New World Order does exist. There is a desire for a one world government. Here's the thing that people need to grasp is they don't care what that one world government is. They don't care if it's a democracy with personal freedoms and privacy. They don't care if it's communism. They tried it that way, and very, very smart people like Ronald Reagan defeated that evil plan. What they've now settled on is that the plan for a one world government is going to be that they're going to make the whole world Muslim. That is the bigger New World Order picture that's going on, and that is what we have to address, because that's the next attempt by these evil people to take control of this planet. That's the next angle. They're going to try to weaken the United States, which is really the only force standing between the Islamic forces and conquering the entire planet. They are going to try to destroy this country. They're going to try to destroy it from the inside. They're going to use immigration to do it, just like they did in France. And this is a warning shot that we better do something about it, and do something about it soon, or we are going to lose our planet. Only we're not going to lose it to some vague Illuminati group. We're going to lose it to these crazy people.
Well, I think there's some truth to that. Kerry, what I wanted to throw out to you, because Mike just said what the next step is. What do you think the next step is, and what is next, and why is it that Turkey, Saudi Arabia, Jordan, Iran are sitting on the sidelines and allowing this to play out when their borders are touching this insurgency and this ISIS takeover, and they seem to be content when they've got 3, 4, 5 million troops that could go in and clean up the situation in a matter of minutes. Kerry? Did we lose Kerry? Kerry, are you there?
No, you got me here. I was muted. Sorry.
Okay.
Okay. So all I can say is that I don't think just sort of pontificating off the top of your head is really useful in this case. And with all due respect to both of you, you need to talk to whistleblowers, and you need to talk to people from the inside the military, inside the Zionist regime. And I also wonder how much travel you've actually done. I think that plays a part, because I've been to the Middle East a lot, and have count Middle Easterners as my friends, and love the culture, by the way, not the part that forces women in a Sharia law, but in the much more sort of open way of Egyptian society. And I have to say, I just got back from Turkey, where on the contrary, we were treated incredibly wonderfully by the Turkish people, and the Turkish people are amazing, brilliant, and let me say, very wise as to what the New World Order and what is being put down on Turkey, and what their country is being forced to do and live through at this time. So they are not deceived.
But the question was, what's the end game here? What's the next play?
Well, the next play of these people, these crazy, the Zionist, what are in essence the Luciferian Anunnaki, and the other minions they're basically fighting over who, you say that they don't care as long as they have a New World Order. Actually, not true. They care because they're fighting among themselves as to who's going to run it. And that's what the game is all about right now. So this is the bottom line. I have one of my whistleblowers who is Kurdish, who has spent years working inside the Illuminati in the high levels of the financial system. Cameron Faley has sent me information about this attack that does verify the fact that it was put together by the Zionists, the CIA, and the money funding through Swiss banks again. There are so many sources out there, and I'm talking about sources who are in the inside. So this is just not conjecture, that are coming up with this information. You can follow the clues. As I say, I just did a show with Ole Damagard, who is something of an expert on spotting false flags and has analyzed them around the globe, including where he started, which is the death of the Prime Minister of Sweden. This is a very long road that we're talking about. This incident must be seen in context. Where they're headed next? Are you asking me where there's the next false flag
I
is?
mean, what? Well, I don't think there's.
Listen to the Pope. He said World War III. Look, they're working on it. They're working on it very, very hard. Will they be successful? I kind of doubt it. I think Putin has thrown some water onto that fire from a different direction. I'm not so sure exactly what game he's playing, but I can say that he's in essence kind of, everyone would agree, I think, doing what in essence these people think like this of Obama's job. Now, I don't think bombing Syria into oblivion, just the way they did to Iraq, and bombing it into the past century is the answer to any question on the table. But this is what they're gonna attempt to do. We do know even back channel. Cameron is very heavily involved in what goes on in the Middle East, and he has told me that in fact, ISIS, the small groups that are going around destroying monuments in Syria, were being paid to do so by the CIA and by the Israelis. So you got to question yourself what it is. This is an age-old war between various ET races that we are roped into, in essence, partly because of bloodline connections and genetics. But there's no doubt about it. This is a very deep and wide playing field. Getting us embroiled in the Middle East is part of their scenario for the end of the world scenario. That's part of Revelation and all that nonsense. A book written or rewritten by a bunch of white men who had an agenda, by the way. And so this is what we're really talking about.
Mike, do you have a response to that? Because I do.
Well, I don't know. Whenever I hear insiders, first of all, again, I continue to hear the Israelis, the Jews, the Jews, the Jews. It's always the Jews. This is simply anti-Semitism. It's nothing more, nothing less. It's ridiculous. Secondly,
sorry,
hold on.
Secondly, I have some Jewish blood. I'm not
anti-Semitic. So do I. That's great. So do I. It's ridiculous.
I object to.
Kerry, we just listened for 10 minutes. Okay, Mike sat by patient. So just let's hear what Mike has to say.
Well, you said no name calling, so let's not.
I did not call you a name. I said that your assertion that the Israelis and the Jews are behind all this. And by the way, when you say Swiss bankers, when you say Swiss bankers,
I love the Israeli people. Don't
right? Yeah.
Okay.
Well, I can tell.
Okay.
When you say Swiss bankers.
Reality, and I have some Jewish blood on top of it. I'm told by my mother we're related to Anne Frank. So be careful what you say to me.
There is nothing personal here, Kerry, and Mike knows that. Okay, but my point is.
That's good. Okay. I appreciate
Jimmy,
I take offense when he says Muslim this, Muslim that as well.
The other thing is, Jimmy, is that, you talk about your inside sources. I was on a panel with you in 2010 at the Conscious Life Expo. I told everybody on the panel that Nibiru was not coming. It was nowhere near. It wasn't going to come. It wasn't going to happen. That the physics of pole shifts by magnetic alignment of planetary cores was nonsense, and it was never going to happen. And you virtually ripped the microphone out of my hand to tell everybody there that all of your inside sources had told you that Nibiru was already in the solar system, it was close to Earth, and it was all going to go down before 2012. So my only question is, and I'd like you to answer this, is, are these the same inside sources that are telling you this crap about the Israelis being behind these bombings?
Well,
I just would like to know.
Okay, Mike, I understand.
And granted, I will grant you that was a little personal.
Okay, yeah, there's no reason to get emotional here. I will say this. The thought of, first off, I don't even like to say the word Zionist. I don't like that to come out of my mouth, and I've never said it on this show, and that's the only time I'm going to say it. But the thought of ISIS, a Muslim fundamental radical organization that is into beheading and having fun parading people around in cages, the last thing that al-Baghdadi is doing is taking money from Israel. It ain't that I can't
Jimmy,
wrap my head around.
They also
that.
don't need any money. They have a massive supply of oil. That's where they're getting all their money from, and that's what the French attacked, and Putin has been attacking is the oil supply.
But
they don't need the Israelis' money. They wouldn't do it for money.
But I'll say this with what part of what Kerry just said, and I'm in total agreement with this, that there is something going on here that is not your basic scenario. There are evil forces in back of all of this, playing this thing out, pulling from different directions that the status quo doesn't understand, and we don't know. I'm in total agreement with that. There is something going on when you have the ability, and let's be frigging straight here. When you have the ability to purchase brand new Toyota trucks, carry American weapons, and run roughshod across a couple of countries, and you have the ability to do this, it's not as simple as owning some oil wells and selling oil back to the Turkish on the black market. There's something else much bigger here that's allowing this to happen, and to have Jordan, and I keep bringing this up, to have Jordan, Iraq, and Turkey, and Iran, and Saudi Arabia just sit back. Iraq just allowed all of this to what are they doing? Dropping their weapons and running, apparently. That's what the mass media is telling us is going down. And nobody wants to step in and do anything about it. It's because they're not going to. And there's a reason for it. I don't know what it is. But there's somebody that is controlling the situation. And it has allowed things like Paris to go down. Why? Is it a false flag? It's the wrong definition of false flag. But if there is a reason for it, and it is perpetuating this thing to spin out of control, and nobody, not the United Nations, not nobody except for Putin apparently, wants to come in and do something about it. And why? I don't know. And so is it the negative forces that Kerry's referring to throwing Israel out of the picture? Is it that? It could be. I just don't know what it is. And I'm as baffled as everybody else that we've allowed it to spin out of control.
There is a pattern of behavior here. And again, let's pull it down from the conspiratorial aspect of this and look at the geopolitical situation as if it was reality. It may not be reality, but sometimes things happen in politics and in the world that just happen. Not everything is planned and controlled by these people. I don't buy that. But if you look at the conduct of American foreign policy in the last 6 or 7 years, what you see is in Middle Eastern country after Middle Eastern country after Middle Eastern country, this administration has supported the radical Islamic wing of every single conflict that's been going on in the Middle East. And Kerry's quite right. There's conflict in every country in the Middle East. But the Egyptian government was brought down because Obama undermined it. The Libyan government was brought down because Obama undermined it. The Syrian government was in massive trouble, and they are an ally of Russia, by the way, which is why Putin's defending them, by, again, American support for radical Islamic factions within there. I mean, this guy has aligned with the Muslims at every turn. He's refused to speak to Benjamin Netanyahu, the prime minister, the duly and democratically elected prime minister of Israel, by the way, and basically treated him like he was nothing. He was invited to the Congress. It was unprecedented that the president wouldn't speak with him. So he went to Congress and spoke to them instead about the Iran deal. He caved into the Iranians to help them develop a nuclear bomb. I don't know. Is anybody sensing a pattern here? And there, of course, are the occasional reports out there that he just may have been raised Muslim. So all I can say is he bowed to his Saudi king. He's conducted his foreign policy in a way that any rational person would have to conclude, I think, shows that he supports radical Islam, that he's destabilized all these fairly moderate governments we had. Yeah, Gaddafi was not a nice guy. Mubarak was probably not a nice guy, but they were keeping the influence of radical Islam out of that part of the Middle East. And now, after 7 years of this guy, that's all destroyed. And I might remind you, the previous president that operated in the Middle East like this was Jimmy Carter, and that's how we got the insane government in Iran. So we have this pattern of behavior that indicates to me that the United States is in fact supporting radical Islam. I don't think it's at the behest of the Israelis. I think this is what this president wants to do. And I think it's pretty obvious from his conduct of American foreign policy that this is the way he wants things.
Well, so
Paris is inevitable. And it's also one more thing. It's inevitable that what we saw in Paris is going to happen here in the United States within the next 5 years. It's going to be Chicago, New York, Los Angeles, Dallas, someplace like that.
Well, so then you agree with Kerry and I. You agree that there is some crazy ass agenda here that none of us understand. It's not just some simple scenario. It's not simple. It's complex, and it's something that you, Kerry, I, and the rest of this audience are all questioning what the hell is really going on, because it just seems like somebody that was sensible would know how to go out and deal with this. And nobody.
I think I understand it. I understand it. I think I see which direction it's going. I don't know who the ultimate bosses are. I know Obama is not the top of the food chain, but he is the puppet in the Oval Office sitting at the desk pulling the strings.
No, well, but see, this is the thing. And Kerry, I want you to jump in here. Is this you went Democrat? That's not the truth. We went through plenty of Republican administrations that were propping up the Shah of Iran way before Carter was in the picture. And
the Shah of Iran was a hell of a lot better option for the people of Iran than the guys that have been in charge since.
What I'm saying is it's not a Republican-Democrat thing. It's a frigging New World Order. Somebody else is making these decisions because they go through different administrations and the policies continue.
So you think that Ronald Reagan was part of the New World Order?
I don't think he was in control of crap. I would
say absolutely.
But I don't think any sitting head of state is in control of any world destiny. No, absolutely not.
Well, I just did a roundtable on the Kennedy assassination and how it ties into what's happening now in the New World Order and the future, and had Jim Fetzer, Jim Mars, and Robert Morningstar. Excellent panel, by the way, in case anyone wants to watch it on YouTube now. So let me just say that I have witnesses. Yes, I have sources, and I have people that have been actually revealing the truth now for years and years. All I can do is encourage the people listening to this, the people that I'm speaking with here. I'm not sure whether they will take the time to do so, is to watch my interview with Cameron Faley. And then also with Scott Bennett. I can tell you that these people are, Scott Bennett is a former U.S. Army Special Operations Officer. He specialized in counterterrorism. He was an analyst who shared what was basically intelligence about the Swiss banks being used by Saudi and Gulf nations to finance ISIS and Al-Qaeda. And the French refused to use the information. The attacks on France are financed by these players. We do know that I have been written to by Cameron, who I'm going to be publishing his statement. But the bottom line to his statement is that the Zionists basically were sending a message to the French, telling them not to be siding with the Russians in the story, and basically getting them into line. So this was a message being sent from one of the sort of top levels to another top level. Obama and his group are neocons. They're following Zbigniew Brzezinski is basically the sort of puppet master, I guess, if you will, of Obama. And we know that this scenario that's going on planet Earth, again, it revolves around an Illuminati agenda, which wants people to become polarized and to become put into a fear mentality to where they're not thinking intelligently. So they're turning on each other rather than look higher up the food chain to see what's really going on. And this is a conspiracy. It is an orchestrated scenario. The very fact that it was on Friday the 13th should tell you that right off the bat. I heard a recent radio show with Jordan Maxwell, a person who's been studying the Illuminati and their ways for the last over 40 years, just today. And he was talking again about the symbolism of the attack. You can't get around that. What does that smack of? It tells you that you've got a group of people and actually ETs, groups of ETs, deals that have been made. Camelot has been covering this for so many years, actually 10 years now. So I have so many whistleblowers on, that have been informing me about these scenarios from day one, that all I can tell you is that, if you want to plant the fault at somebody called a Muslim or Islam is just as diluted as any other religion on the planet. All of the religions have been taken over and humans have been misled by the religions a long, long time ago. And I refer everyone to the Voyager series, 2 books, very important books, that have the best history of humanity, much better than the Bible, written by the Guardians, going through Ashiana Dean. I interviewed her at length. So when you you wanted me to tell you what was coming up next, I can tell you that Cameron says that Germany is going to be pulled into line. That is going to be a possible next target. So put that out there. I can say also that there's a great deal of evidence that the Charlie Hebdo shooting in January in Paris was also a false flag. What you do during a false flag like Pearl Harbor or any of the other ones that have happened over history is you get the country involved in a war. And what war are we talking about? We're talking about World War III.
Yeah, I want to jump.
If you want to eliminate 2/3 of the population, you don't have a whole lot of options. They've tried a number of things. AIDS didn't work. There have been a lot of failures, partly because we have some very positive ET and Guardian races out there helping us to combat these things by raising our frequency. But this is a war for the hearts and minds, and also to close the ascension gates. The dark side is conducting these wars to affect the ley lines, to close the stargates, and to lower the vibration on the planet. So please don't be deceived by this. Please don't allow it to lower your vibration. And staying in the middle road, that's no road at all. This is a fight for the life of humanity, for the souls of humanity, and you absolutely have to take sides in that war.
Let me jump in. One thing that is playing out, Mike, I'll let you go first here in answering this. This is what is tripping me out. We have all heard, everybody listening to this show and the both of you, we have heard since we were little kids, the stories about World War III is going to kick off in the Middle East. The evil powers are going to rise up, and it's going to, and we've been watching this play out now for 25 years. And here we are at the moment now that Putin is involved. China hasn't stepped in yet, but now we've got this weird proxy-like war going on where technically we're against Assad. Russia's for Assad. We've got some groups in the middle, but now we are nearly eyeball to eyeball with Russia. And it could very well kick off tomorrow. If the one thing goes wrong, the next thing you know, we are at war with Russia in the Middle East, and World War III is going to happen. Is this what is playing out? And as crazy as it sounds, it's a direct possibility. Michael.
Well, I hope that that's not what plays out. I think clearly what Putin is doing is, Putin is trying to expose the fact that Obama is a Islamic militant sympathizer, and he's trying to destabilize these governments that Russia is allied with, and he's been doing it the entire time, and that's why they're saying he's bombing our people. Well, he's bombing our people because we're financing some of the bad guys. There's no question about that.
Let me ask you a question. What religion is al-Assad?
Hafez al-Assad is a member of the Ba'ath Party. I would think from that part of the world, if he was anything, if he practiced anything, he would be Islamic. But I don't know for a fact. But
so then,
Hafez al-Assad is he's not He's not religious that I know of. He's political. He's it's the remnants. It's like the collapsed empire in Star Wars.
I'm just saying. Party. Okay, but you're confusing me though. So then, shouldn't Obama be on Assad's side?
No, because Assad, along with Mubarak, who he's already taken out, and Gaddafi, who he's already taken out, these guys were suppressing the radical Islamic movements in their own country. Now, through very thuggish and unpleasant means, but they were definitely doing that. Those three guys were definitely suppressing the radical Islamic movement in the Middle East. And so Obama's undermined all three of them to a certain extent. And I think that what's happening with Putin is he's simply drawing a line and saying this far and no farther.
Well, to be fair, I think Gaddafi was asexual when it came to his religion. I don't think he cared. His religion
he was
Gaddafi.
Suppressing the religious aspect in his country. He was suppressing the radical Islamic movement in Libya.
Yeah, well, he just controlled the country. That's
right.
Yeah.
Right.
I agree with that.
But he was definitely after them because they were his biggest problem.
But don't you see? Let's go back to the question. The question is, right now Assad's in the middle. Russia's backing him. We want Assad out. Both countries now have forces in the region, and one plane falls. One of ours gets shot down by Russia accidentally. We shoot down one of Russia's accidentally, a so-called accident, and we've got a really bad poo-poo storm. Okay, and this is what we have been warned about for decades, that World War III was going to kick off in the Middle East, and we are on the brink of that, and that's my point. Are we seeing prophecy play out here?
I think some people would like it to play out, but I don't think I don't necessarily
that
think
is
so.
what they have been working on forever. See my interview with Leo Zagami, who talked about this at length many years ago. Let me also say that apparently one of my whistleblowers is saying the Russian airliner was a message to the Egyptian government not to cooperate with the Russians, or their travel industry lifeline would basically go south. So this is what's going on. I mean, it of course they want this. Are they going to get it? Hopefully not. I can tell you that I have seen a buildup on the West Coast of troops and various things also in a future scenario. But I think, in essence, what we do is we wake people up, and people do not go down this road of fear and recriminations that have to do with various races. When I say the Zionist, I'm talking about the Anunnaki Luciferians, and I'm talking about an ET race, okay? An ET heritage and basically the Anunnaki that are operating out of an underground base under Dimona in Israel. So this is not the Israeli people. This is, and this is documented. There's a journalist who documented the Anunnaki walking around Israel, going into housewives' homes in the middle of the day at a certain point. And his name is Barry Shamish, and I did an interview with him a while back on a radio show. So what we're really talking about, and it's time the humans wake up and realize that we're not in this alone, that our militaries have made deals with various ET races, and that the wars being fought on Earth and the blood being shed by us is orchestrated on a higher level by these various races that have made deals with a very, a negative side of our governments as well as our militaries. So once we realize that we're being used as pawns, then it doesn't matter what country you're a member of, or whether you live in the Middle East or you're not, or what your religion is or affiliation. That's beside the point. We are all human, and we all have a vested interest in seeing this earth stay, be healthy, and continue, and to see our children grow up in all the countries of the world. We have a vested interest in basically bonding together to change the world.
Let me jump in. We got to take a break. We got a hard break here in 5 seconds. This is Fade to Black. Tonight, Kerry Cassidy, Mike Bara. I'm your host, Jimmy Church. Back right after this.
Hi, everybody. This is Rob Halford, the Metal Guard on JimmyChurchRadio.com.
KGRA Radio. Intelligent talk.
Are you a paranormal investigator, ghost hunter, or UFO skywatcher? If so, FNGinnovations.com has the product you definitely need in your investigations kit or go bag. Introducing the Morpholite Wide Beam Tactical Flashlights that put the light where you need it most. Traditional flashlights shine a focused round beam with limited line of sight in the dark. Morpholite Tactical Flashlights change all that, utilizing a revolutionary wide beam design to enable you to see safety hazards such as hanging wires and steel, pipes, and holes in the floor you just can't see with a focused round beam. In the field, where safety is paramount, a 180-degree beam increases orientation and peripheral vision in the dark. Morpholite flashlights are ideal for investigations in abandoned facilities such as houses and hospitals, factories, caves, and tunnels. Avoid those low-hanging tree branches that poke your eyes in the woods. Visit FNGinnovations.com to see a full line of tactical lights and accessories. That's FNGinnovations.com.
Now you can find all your favorite talk radio shows live, all in one place at TalkStreamLive.com. Listen from anywhere, office, home, or in your car. Just go to TalkStreamLive.com and click on one of the many live talk show hosts you want to listen to. It's free and easy. No computer? Download the smartphone apps. Never miss your favorite talk show. Find them all at TalkStreamLive.com.
You want to know a secret? I love ponies. I really love ponies. I'm serious. I couldn't stay sane without ponies to brush.
Why fade to black? Because you never got that pony. Damn
it. This is Fade to Black with Jimmy Church on the Game Changer Radio Network and KGRA, the Global Radio Alliance.
Welcome back. Fade to Black, bespoke radio for the masses. I'm your host, Jimmy Church. Tonight, Kerry Cassidy, Mike Bara, right here. And first off, guys, thank you so much. This show means a lot to me and our audience. We need to always hear both sides. Now, Mike, I had said all week on this show, and I said this last Friday on Coast to Coast, that this may be something simple. We need to have cooler heads prevail before we just go and jump in any direction and assuming the wrong thing. Because if we learned anything from 9/11, if we could give any advice to the French people right now in Europe, is don't overreact. Don't, because this can spin out of control really, really quickly. And here in the United States, we overreacted in so many different directions. And if we're going to learn from a mistake, it's just that. Let's just relax and let's try to figure it out. Let's figure out who's guilty here, what's going on, and what parties are at play. And your take on everything tonight, I think, is exactly just that. Let's not jump in any different direction. But if you were going to give advice to France right now, to the French people, what would it be?
What I would do is I would do the same thing that I would do in the United States. I would end any immigration from any Muslim country for any reason. I would look at every single person that had immigrated from an Islamic country to my country, France, since 9/11, If they had citizenship, I would revoke their citizenship. I would round them up and I would ship them back to their country of origin at my expense, drop them with, I don't know, $25,000, $30,000 and say, good luck to you. And then I would put a 50-year moratorium on any immigration to my country. I wouldn't allow anybody new into the country, and I would keep France for the French. That's what I would do.
Well, they've been trying to do that for 200 years. Hey, Kerry, if you know what I mean, that was a bad joke, but exactly. Kerry, if you were going to give advice to the good, proud people of France right now going through the tragedy and the families and everything else, if you were going to give advice to the French right now, what would that advice be?
Well, I've kind of already said it, but I have to say that rounding up people sounds remarkably like concentration camps and reeks of a sort of a Hitler type of scenario. With
actually more like FDR. That's what he did in World War II.
Yeah, I get that.
I have to say that, again, we're back to a German, what was in essence, the totalitarian rule of government. I don't advocate that on any level, and I certainly wouldn't suggest that to the French people. I would basically say that, look at the clues that are all around you, begin to research deeply into the history of what went on Friday the 13th, to look at the allegiances between various governments and the push to create a World War II scenario, and don't play into it. It's actually a little late, though, because, as I said, those planes took off and they were on bombing forays. Their government, in their name, is basically bombing Syria. So, one could say, certainly if I was a member of the Illuminati and created this whole scenario, which is what they did, then I would say my bombing, my attacks on Paris were a success. We got the French government to sit up and do exactly what we wanted them to do. If I was a citizen, I would certainly, take the blinders off and recognize that, not go after what our immigration, because immigration, borders are an illusion. I'm of the opinion of John Lennon. Get rid of the ideas of countries in the sense that you're going to keep people out of your country because you think you own it. I just think that's ridiculous. It's not the fault of the immigrants. These people have been terrorized in their own country. They are seeking political asylum in most cases. We're talking women, children, etc. Now, are there some people that can be recruited by a government that has a nefarious agenda in mind? In other words, to get that country involved in World War III and on the side of basically the NATO forces? Sure, that's obviously what's going on, but it's not, to start again turning groups of people against each other has always been the program. This is not what it's all about, and this is what people need to stop believing in. We have no division. We are all humanity, and we all have a common goal, which is basically enlightenment. And we'd all like to live free on the planet. Those are common to every culture out there and every group of humanity. Now, various ETs have more totalitarian agendas as well as control agendas, and this is what we're dealing with. So that's what I would say to the French people.
Well, what Mike had said, listen, Mike, what you said was exactly what Holland did over in France immediately Friday night, shut down the borders. That was the first thing he did. You have to understand Holland's point of view, because at that point, his country is saying, let's go nuke Syria, right?
Yeah, right. First of all, these people are not refugees. 70% of them are military-aged young men. In fact, there's people that have estimated as many as 90% of them are. This is not a refugee crisis. This is an Islamic invasion of Europe and the United States. That's what the purpose of it is. So that's just to pretend that it's anything else than that is just absolutely crazy. And the fact that there are people, the idea that you can't close the borders, well, sure you can. You simply build a wall. You build a wall with Mexico and you build a wall with Canada, and you restrict immigration. Dwight Eisenhower deported more than 1 million illegal aliens in the 1950s over the course of a month or two. It absolutely can be done. The one country in the world that doesn't have any problem with Islamic terrorism and doesn't worry about it is Japan. And the reason for that is they simply have outlawed the psychotic death cult of Islam. They simply don't allow it to exist in Japan, and that can be done anywhere in the world. And to say that doing that is somehow not enlightened. I mean, I don't know. Why would you let people into your country that you know a certain percentage of are here to kill you and your family? If you had a bowl of M&Ms, Jimmy, let's say there's 50 M&Ms in there, and you knew that one of them, even one of them, had cyanide in it with poison. It was poisoned with cyanide, and it would kill you immediately. Would you eat any of the M&Ms out of that bowl?
I throw them away all the time.
Exactly. But nobody would do that, and that's the same thing here.
I understand.
Maybe there's good Muslims out there. I don't know. The only ones I see are the ones that are killing people worldwide.
It does sound. Kerry,
I mean, what are you, a reptilian being? I mean,
wait.
Oh, yeah, that's it.
Okay.
Over another?
Slow down. Let me just say this.
I don't like the analogy. I find it offensive.
Which analogy is offensive?
There isn't.
Wait a minute. Which one, Kerry?
Wait. Stop, Kerry. No opinion is offensive. You have yours. Mike has his, and our audience.
Humans are likened to M&Ms, and that you're going to eat some and not the other sounds reptilian. I'm sorry.
Okay.
Okay.
Again,
right.
All right. Okay, that's an opinion. But let me throw this out at the both of you. The one thing that I found completely stinky and fishy and dirty in 9/11 was the miraculous finding of a passport on the sidewalks of Manhattan. Total plant, total BS. We all know it. It just doesn't work that way. But now we're finding the same thing, allegedly, in France, where they're producing these passports that happen to survive, whatever. And these passports are magically linked back to a refugee island in Greece, and it's a false passport. And it wasn't. All I'm saying is the odds of that really happening in the real world are slim and none. But the similarities between that.
No, Jimmy, they carried their passports because they wanted people to know that it was ISIS that had done it. That's why they did it, Jim.
Mike, let me finish, okay? Obviously, that would be the way to look at it. They're carrying the passports because if they can get out of the country, they're going to. And they need to have their IDs with them. I get that. But why would you carry a fake passport that isn't even real to begin with and is too easy to trace back to Greece, too easy to trace back to ISIS, and your cover is blown? That's the part that just feels funny to me. Their intention was from the beginning, like they did, was to blow themselves up. What do you need your passports for if you're dying in the end anyway? But yet this passport is found just like it was in Manhattan. I just find that fun. That kind of evidence to be found so quickly. Funny to me.
They wanted everybody to know what they had done and how they had done it. That's the purpose of terrorism, is to terrify you by saying, "Look how easy it was for us to get into your country." Come on, Jimmy, that doesn't. That's not a valid argument. That just doesn't add up.
It does, because you wouldn't leave a passport. You leave a frigging video on YouTube.
Well, there's that too. They took credit for it immediately after it happened.
No, I'm talking about all 8 of those suicide bombers doing their fellow hello goodbyes in a YouTube video, and they're going to go have their 70 virgins.
Okay, well, if that would convince you more than a passport, I guess that's okay. But I will tell you this about plane crashes.
Are you saying
that those kinds of things are found all the time?
Are you saying that wouldn't convince you more than some strange passport being found again on a sidewalk?
No, I already was clear that they were Islamic terrorists when I started hearing the reports of what was going on. I already pretty much knew who it was, and the passport doesn't really do anything for me except confirm that it was the people I thought were involved. It wouldn't be more powerful to me if they made some YouTube video, and I don't know for a fact that they didn't.
Fair enough, Mike. What do you think about that, Kerry? The strange passport being found on a sidewalk, just like Manhattan. Kerry,
I think it's highly suspicious. It's really an obvious, I think that the Illuminati, the ones that are wrapped up all in this, and I have to say the French government is also complicit. Look, in the end, there are factions, as I said, that are fighting among each other, and they want to, in essence, be in charge of the New World Order over and above the others. So, I would say that that Catholic Church is implicated, the Vatican is implicated, has been for many, many years. So as far as the passport goes, God, it's just such an obvious, it's just like 9/11. The Illuminati know that people are going to look at these clues. They also know that the average person is not going to be able to, or not going to be interested in doing the in-depth investigation that they need to do in order to find out what really happened. So they're going to be deceived by this drama that is being played out in front of them. And they're going to go along with the emotion. And one of the first things that comes out is a nice, pristine Syrian passport, which if you listen further, you find out it's fake. Now, what does that do? It tells the people that are listening, who only have time for sound bites in their news because they go about their, workaday world jobs, and they don't, they're feeding their kids and they're doing whatever else they need to do. They only hear tiny bits of the news. They don't spend their day the way I do, or the way maybe you do, investigating what's really going on the planet. And so they don't have time for anything. So they hear a soundbite. The soundbite says Syrian passport. Oh, well, it's a red flag. And immediately all the blame goes on Syria. The planes take off from the Paris airport and they go to bomb Syria. Come on, just wrap your mind around that. It's obvious what the plan is here. The plan is to instigate World War III. The Pope just told you that. And so, I hate to be repeating myself over and over again, but in a sense, this sort of dialogue is almost useless, because I have to say that the evidence is out there, and it's only multiplying as I sit here. All I can say is there is so much evidence out there that points to false flags. If you listen to my interview with Ole Damagard, they've got people where they don't have any, they're using AK-47s. There's no blood on the walls. Military people will tell you when you shoot somebody with an AK-47, the blood goes everywhere at close proximity in these theater, et cetera, et cetera. You've got a blood drawn in a heart shape around the bodies in the theater. You've got so many anomalous things. You've got a young man who was apparently well-dressed, clean-cut, who wasn't in theory a Zionist, but was more like a recruited mercenary who, they found the GPS conveniently heading towards Paris. I mean, you got to think these people want to be found. Not only that, but what happens every frickin' time we have a false flag like this, and it happens all the time. The people who are involved in supposedly killing people are always dead. We can never get an interview with those people.
Not this time, though. Not this time.
Yeah, most of them are dead.
Well,
even the ones that supposedly took their suicide vests and detonated them. It is very convenient. Yes, they're either dead, they're not in custody. Okay, now they're going to need some fall guys because, that's going to be the name of the game. The French government's probably going to demand it. So they're going to pull anyone they can into the scenario. It's just like the Kennedy assassination.
I agree. Kerry, let me jump in because I don't want to run out of time here. And we're going to be up against a break in 10 minutes. When is the time up here? Because we're going to be up against a break in 10 minutes, and then we'll be done in another 10 minutes after that. Hold on for a second. Now, listen, what if the both of you are completely wrong? And hear me out. What if ISIS is nothing more than a bunch of drug-fueled teenagers that are into guns and beheading people because they have lonely lives and they just want to go hang out in Syria and have some fun and some action in a lawless society. What if it was just something as simple as that? And religion had nothing to do with it. Islam had nothing to do with it. The Quran has nothing to do with it, because I don't think the Quran has anything to do with beheading and burning people in cages and raping women and teenagers and killing babies. I just don't see that. So what if it was something that was completely not even close to either of your consideration here, and maybe it's just a fun-fueled, crazed atmosphere that these guys actually just enjoy because they're stupid.
And they orchestrated attacks all over Paris in certain
that's exactly
choice places.
Why?
Yeah.
Why? Hold on, Kerry. Why? If we strip everything away here, and that's what I'm asking you.
No,
Maybe wait,
this
Kerry.
Misdirection.
Kerry, there is if you strip away. When I hear people talk about
MK Ultra,
wait.
That's
Hold
the
on.
only drug they're on.
Kerry, listen. Just listen to me. What if we take away the complexity of these 6 sites that maybe it was just 8 guys with AK-47s that went out in cars, looked at their watches, and said at 9:30 we start shooting, and it had nothing to do with anything else but a bunch of drug-fueled, stupid kids that don't have any ideology. That they're just out doing this because of what they're doing back in Syria. And it had nothing to do with anything. It had nothing to do with Republican, Democrat, Mike's position of it's just a terrorist act with a crazy fundamentalist, and then on the other side it's the Illuminati and Zionists and the Anunnaki and the New World Order. That side of things. Maybe it had nothing to do with any of that. Maybe it's just crazy is as crazy does.
They are out to get you. I mean, you think you're doing a service to humanity by bringing that up, Jimmy? Seriously?
I'm asking.
It's actually brain dead. I'm sorry. And I love you. You're a great guy and you're a load of fun, but come on, get real.
No, that's not my question.
MK Ultra, that's the drug they're on. Of course they're putting the terrorists into that mindset set. They do it all the time. That's the name of the game. You've got many levels here. You've got the top level orchestrating. You've got the actual players on the playing field who make all kinds of mistakes and do stupid things. Mm-hmm. And you've got the middlemen who get wrapped up in there, and sometimes they're good guys and they have their heart in the right place, but they end up just doing stupid things like you and trying to lead humanity down the wrong road and try to block off some street when they should have let the people run and get away.
What do you mean
come on, if they had an AK-47, why didn't they just walk outside and riddle the whole Champs-Élysées with bullets? Sean made that point today, and I think it was a good one. I mean, they had an agenda. They had a rule book they're following and orders they're following, and that didn't come out of their bright heads, right?
But what do you mean, my stupid agenda? I don't have a stupid agenda.
I didn't say anything about you. I think you misheard me.
No, you said you referring to me and my stupid agenda.
No,
okay,
that's not what I said.
Okay, all right. No. Nothing
I said
personal. I just wondered what my stupid agenda was.
No, I'm just saying, if they have no thought in their head, and you have no thought for the same reason, and the cops that are blocking the street have no thought in their head, they're just following orders, okay? They're just finding the simplest, easiest, it's a bunch of crazy youths. Huh? You want to blame it on youth?
All I'm trying to say is there could be something that nobody has put on the table yet. I don't know. I have no clue. Kerry, I have no idea.
You don't know. I think that's disingenuous. I think that suggestion indicates that you're a lot stupider than you are.
Who?
You, Jimmy Church, are a lot. Come on. You're a lot smarter than that. Don't give me this.
Well, by suggesting that it could be just something else?
By suggesting this is a bunch of crazies that have no thought in their head for anything?
I've known some crazy people, Kerry.
Even so, it started somewhere. They were beat up by their father, their mother, their fucking church, or whatever.
Right. But that has nothing to do with the Anunnaki, and that's my point.
Yes, it does.
And going back
Actually, hello, that's what they were trained. What do you think their religion taught them? It goes all the way back, Jimmy. Nothing gets out from under that, okay? You can't, there's nothing on the planet. I don't care if it's fluorescent lights, bad food, bad water, you name it, chemtrails, everything that we're seeing around us is orchestrated by one group or another and has been allowed to be by one group of humanity who went around them with each other and said, oh, well, what if it's just a bunch of crazies among us?
But when is crazy supposed to make sense?
That abdicates the responsibility and the truth.
But when do we ever understand crazy? We just don't. And that,
because crazy's got a lot more agenda than you realize. That's my point.
Well, don't forget, though.
It's not
Carrie,
just crazy.
Don't forget, Kerry.
Some of the smartest people out there have been labeled crazy, thrown in insane asylums, and left there, like Nietzsche, like Wilhelm Reich. I mean, get real. There's nothing really crazy.
Kerry,
there's always a root somewhere that has an intelligent beginning.
Absolutely. But my point from the beginning of this show is there is something pulling an agenda here from all directions. So that is my point of view. But all I suggested was, and I mean this, maybe it could just be crazy is as crazy does. That's all that I'm saying. Mike, let me throw the same question back to you. Could it just be a bunch of crazies that has nothing to do with religion or the New World Order?
No, I don't think so. I think that's a little bit naive, James. The reality is that anybody who is going to blow themselves up with a bomb, and let's just stipulate for the moment that this did happen, that there were people with bombs that blew themselves up in Paris. I'm sure a few anti-Semites like Sean David Morton would probably claim that never happened. But, recently in Germany, just the other day, yesterday, they found an ambulance full of explosives with an Islamic radical at the wheel that was going to drive it into the stadium and blow it up under the grandstands and try to kill thousands of people. They had more attacks in Paris today. And by the way, I was really angry to find out that a police dog was killed when somebody set off one of those bombs, a suicide bomb. These people are committed. You're not going to blow yourself up for the New World Order. You're going to blow yourself up if you have a sincere, fervent, passionate belief that your cause is correct, that your cause is right. And I don't think that that's what the New World Order is all about, at least not from my perspective. I can certainly imagine people doing it for their God, but I can't imagine them doing it for some political cause. It just doesn't really typically happen that way, at least from my perspective on history.
It is so bizarre to me how we are all searching for answers here, we're all trying to find and figure out, because I think it's confusing to everybody. Not only the two of you, but everybody else going, man, how in the hell did we get here? How did we get to this point? How have we allowed this to happen? Not the governments, but the people, where we have sat back and watched all of this happen. And it seems that complacency has been in place for so long that we keep our hands in our pockets and nobody wants to speak up or do anything or question anything here. And now we've got ourselves to this radical tipping point in the Middle East. The balance of the world and the future of the world could possibly be in question. And nobody wants to stand up and take control and get things right. And that's my point with all of this. And I'll give you another example. And then we're going to be up against a break, and I want both of you to think about this because I think it's important. The raids that have taken place, not only overnight, but for the last 3 days, now, 150, 128, today 118, probably tomorrow another 100, and they're rounding up and arresting people without giving names, talking about who they've detained. Everything is shadowy and in the dark. And I think all of us, not only Kerry and Mike, Bara and Jimmy Church, but the world wants to know what is going on, and they're keeping that in the dark. And we don't know the identities of these guys. And I question that greatly. And I think it plays into not only both of your opinions, not only mine, but the rest of the world, where we're going, nobody's talking. You're detaining people, and you're not telling us who it is or where you got them, where they came from, or anything. They're just detainees or arrested people without identities. And with that, I want you guys to think about that, because I think it's a question that we're all asking ourselves. Let's take a quick break. We'll be back in 2 minutes. Tonight, Kerry Cassidy, Mike Bara, right here on Fade to Black. We're questioning everything tonight. Great conversation. I'm your host, Jimmy Church. More with Mike and Kerry when we come back. Stay right there.
You are listening to my boy, Jimmy Church, on jimmychurchradio.com.
Despite popular opinion, reading a book will not make you smarter.
But listening to Jimmy Church will.
All right, you Fadernauts. Studio Dome has done it once again. A new Studio Dome Fadernaut special. Introducing the Studio Dome Boom Box Bluetooth speaker. It's got a rear-firing bass film subwoofer and dual 52mm main speakers. You'll never listen to your tablet or cell phone speakers again. Just click on the Studio Dome banner, use the promo code Jimmy, and you'll get the SBB for $49 and free shipping. And get a Buddy 4-port USB charger for free. That's a $19.99 value right there. And they'll throw in a Buddy in the box. It's the best deal on the net. Anywhere. Just go to jimmychurchradio.com, click on the Studio Dome banner, enter the promo code Jimmy, go Beckley Teppy.
Erica, Brittany, Gabby, and you're listening to jimmychurchradio.com.
It's not a lifestyle we chose. We were born this way. KGRAradio.com.
This is KJCR at jimmychurchradio.com.
Welcome back, Fade to Black. Great show tonight. Absolutely amazing conversation. Kerry Cassidy, Mike Bara, right here. I'm your host, Jimmy Church, and, I'm so thankful for the both of you coming on tonight. Let me tell you exactly why. The audience and the world needs to question everything, and both of you have presented opinions and thought that will do just that. And if I make somebody angry tonight, if you guys cause somebody to go out and go, you know what, then we've done our job. And I want to thank you for both of that. Now, before the break, I had said I find it strange that the identities of who is being held. Hey, who's ever making the noise? Please stop. That's really loud. Is the identities haven't been released. And I find that wrong when everybody needs information and needs to know what's going on. Why do you think we're being held in the dark right now? Kerry, go ahead.
Well, there's so many reasons why they would do that. First of all, they don't want you to know where they're being held, and they don't want you to know that they're having to drum up these guys out of nowhere. It's very likely that some of these patsies won't even, they'll be like, the guy who supposedly killed Kennedy, who didn't. In other words, none the wiser. He was standing they've now proven that he was standing on the steps the whole time, could never have been in the book depository building. this is the kind of thing we're talking about. We're talking about patsies being created out of nowhere. This is probably what they're going to have to come up with. That's my theory. I can say that, on another note, you do have competing negative factions who are interested in turning this sort of incident to their own benefit. And so, like David Icke says, who benefits? Cui bono. That's what you have to really look at. And again, terror only benefits those in power. That's what I have to say about it.
Mike, why do you think they're withholding the identities of everybody and keeping the world in the dark?
Well, I don't know, and it's not really a major issue for me, but off the top of my head, I don't know. I think there might be some reason having to do with family, with relatives living in Paris, those kinds of things, neighbors, people that might have been involved or might not have been involved. So, it's one of these things where, let's say you had a cousin that lived in Paris, you were one of the bombers, and what if they released your name and everybody knew that you were related to this person, and then they went after them and hunted them down and beat them up, which is not it's a realistic scenario. So I can think of reasons like that why they might want to do it. And to me, it's not something I'm particularly suspicious of.
I find it very suspicious. And last night, when they were doing the raid, which I was watching live, all I do is I look at all the feeds, and I've got information coming in from different sources all day long, and I'm collecting information. That's all I do all day long, Kerry. And when I was doing that last night, I was waiting for one thing to happen, and that is we've arrested 3 people inside of the apartment, and their identities are boom, boom, boom. And there you go. Why? Because if they did that, then that lets ISIS know that they've really detained and would freak out and cause chatter out there in the communication channels and would open things up. That's what I would do. But if you're holding it back, do we even know that they have 3 people from the apartment? Were there really 3 people there? We don't know. Like, I agree with what Kerry said about the whole patsy idea or creating this. When 25 people detained today or arrested today, who? What is it, and what is the significance of it? And I think that the people of Paris certainly deserve to know what's going on. And I just find it's like we're not being told the truth, is what I'm saying. It smells of that. Also, just to correct something that Kerry said, the man standing in front of the Texas School Book Depository was not Lee Harvey Oswald. That's been well established. I forget the gentleman's name.
To listen. No, that's not true.
No, I'm sorry. I saw the man on television. I saw the guy on television on a show that was called The Trial of Lee Harvey Oswald, and he said, "That's me." I was standing there.
Okay.
He's the right height. The guy was 6 feet 4 inches tall. Lee Harvey Oswald was 5'9". That is not Lee Harvey Oswald.
Sorry, you got it all wrong.
The entire world has established that years ago.
You need to listen to the experts who've been investigating.
Yeah, I don't need to because I saw a picture and I saw the man say, "Oh, it was me," in front of the depository.
Mike, we're not talking about Kennedy and Kerry. Yeah,
by the way, you should have me on your Kennedy show. By the way,
because I would be right, and it would be frustrating for you.
No, it would be the other way around, Jimmy.
But putting Kennedy aside, I find it a bit funky. It's like,
oh my God, are they lying to you? Is it surprising you, Jimmy? Come on, get a grip.
But Kerry, it's not about me.
They're always lying. If their mouths are moved, they're lying.
Which is my point. It's not me, Kerry. It's the whole world, and certainly the people of Paris deserve more than that right now. That's my point. I know we're being lied to, Kerry. You know that. Do you
think that if you find out that one of the mercenaries they hired, you're going to find out who he is if you lynch him? You think the having a vendetta on an individual is going to solve this problem? Who cares who it is? In the end, They're just individuals. They don't know anything. They're as much deceived in their heads as the Parisian people and the rest of the people around the planet. I mean, you can't blame them. Look, they're patsies. They're mind controlled. Your television is mind controlling you.
It's 100% mind control.
There.
Yeah.
And come on, get a grip. Of course, it's not the individuals. Go above.
Well,
look above. Lift your eyes up. And look at the triangle, the eye on top of the triangle on the dollar bill. Do that, please.
Kerry, and Mike, let me just say this, and I'll be as blunt as I can. When a line of trucks, pickup trucks, is rolling down a street in Raqqa, and you have prisoners in orange uniforms in cages being paraded in front of these ISIS members, and they are blindly looking at this with that blank stare in their face, and somehow they've been convinced that that is the way of life and that is the right thing to do. That is 100% mind control. It is absolute. Kerry, you couldn't be more right. And Mike, you know that is true. You know, I totally agree with all of that. Okay, what is causing it? I don't know. I just don't. I feel that there is something so dark and sinister pulling around the situation in the Middle East where nobody wants to do anything about it because they're being told not to do anything about it. And I find that bizarre. What is the root of all of it? Kerry, you may be right. Mike, you may be right. I don't know, but that is why you guys are here on this show. And that's why I love the both of you. All right? Are we clear?
Okay.
Are we frigging clear here?
We love you too.
You know, I just don't I don't get it. And it's so frustrating. I had said at the beginning of the show before I brought the both of you on, I remember to the day when Obama made the announcement that they were going to arm terrorists in Syria to go up against Assad, that I knew that today we would be where we are at today. I knew it. I saw it all coming on. And sure enough, it all played out. It played out exactly how I knew it was going to play out.
Okay.
That's why I'm not wrong.
Yeah. Okay.
I just don't know why. I don't know why Obama and his administration, that somebody there is his advisors and his chiefs of staff.
Jimmy, it's because you do not want to face the reality that this guy is at the very least sympathetic to radical Islam. I mean, he has made many statements essentially to that effect.
Do you really think the president is in charge of
if stuff gets bad,
yes.
I'm going to be behind the.
I'm sorry. Look, are we at the end of the show yet? I mean, come on
already. Wait.
Obama
but see,
doesn't have any power.
Oh yeah. Okay.
No, he does. Well, Mike, you know that he doesn't.
If you think he has power.
No, Mike knows that. Mike knows that. But the point is, and both of you are right. But let me finish what I was trying to say, which is his chief of the Joint Chiefs are sitting around and advising him that the way to go forward is to arm terrorists to overthrow Assad. Where is that a good strategy? It doesn't make any sense. So I'm not sure that is the truth.
Osama, can you say it? Osama bin Laden?
I can.
Done before?
Yes.
And they'll do it again.
I agree. I totally 100% agree with that. And again, learning from the past. And so I'm not so sure that is what the discussion was. There's another agenda in play here. It can't be that stupid. I just don't think the strategy that is playing out there is what they really want to do. There's something else in play. I just don't know what it is. But
watch my interviews. I don't mean just a few. Watch all of them.
You know I do, Kerry.
Not if you're saying you don't know why.
Well, no.
Not if you sound as naive as you sound on this
radio
show right here.
You know I'm not sounding naive right now. You know I'm speaking the truth. I don't know what's going on. And
no, I don't believe you don't know why. I think you have a pretty darn good idea.
Yeah, and I can't look. And there's one other thing that not only did I say on Coast Friday night, but I said it every night this week on this show. My opinion doesn't matter. It's you and Mike right now, it's your opinions that matter. It's the audience opinions that matter. I could go on with my knowledge and my opinions, but it just doesn't matter. I need to learn, and we need to hear every side of the fence. Everything needs to be on the table right now because I don't think anybody really fully understands what's going on. Whistleblower on one side, there's a whistleblower on the other side of the fence, Kerry, that is going to say the opposite. So we've got to figure out what is real. You know, we have to question everything. And not every whistleblower on either side of the fence is telling the truth, you know, or is factually based somewhere. You just can't go and vet somebody and assume that everything that we could bring up so many people from the past that were not only whistleblowers, but and that's a term that is misused, but people that have come forward with evidence that turn out to be completely false in their identities and their history, and they were just making things up just to be part of the action. And that goes on all the time.
You know what?
Kerry,
it's called discernment.
And Kerry,
you know, look, just because there are liars on one side and liars on the other doesn't mean that someone isn't telling the truth.
Exactly.
If your argument is suddenly that because there's whistleblowers that tell you lies, that you can't have a whistleblower who's telling you the truth,
right?
Then it doesn't work.
That's exactly right.
It's called discernment, and you need to do your homework. That's my last statement on the matter.
If there's one person that does his homework, it's me. I get 2 hours of sleep a night. But my point is very simple. We have to listen to everything, and then we weed it out, and somehow we'll get to the bottom of it. And that's what we have to do. We have to listen to everybody. Kerry, we have to listen to you. Mike, we have to listen to you, and we have to listen to everybody. And that's our job. That's our job, to let everybody else go out, investigate, acquire their knowledge, and look into things and try to figure it out for themselves. And that's our job.
So why don't we take some calls? Let's see what they want to talk about out there. What do you think?
Yeah, the calls are coming in. You see that. But we're at the end of the show. And listen, I want to thank both of you. And this is such an emotional time for the world. There are lots of things that are going down all at the same time, and all of us, not only you two, but the audience right now is bogged down with emotion. And it's very, very tough right now to look and try to figure out what is right and what is wrong, and what's tomorrow going to bring us. You know, and it's very emotional. It's emotional for everybody. Not everybody's going to agree. Not everybody's going to be happy. But I think all of us want a better day tomorrow. And how we get there, I don't know. But we have to sit and listen to everybody and discuss and figure things out. Not everybody's going to agree with Mike. Not everybody's going to agree with Kerry. Nobody agrees with me, apparently. But the point is we need to do just that. And that's why I love the both of you, and that's why we need to keep our foot on the gas. Mass media is not going to give it to us. It's shows like this that are going to give it to everybody. And I want to thank the both of you for coming on tonight. It was a tough night. Thank you both.
Okay, thank you so much, Jimmy.
Yeah, thank you, Kerry. And Michael, thank you, and I'll be in touch with both of you tomorrow. For the rest of the evening, both of you behave.
Okay, thanks, Jimmy.
Thank you so much.
All right, take care, Mike.
Good night.
You too, Kerry.
Bye-bye.
And that is why I do this show. Okay? All right? Man. And I want to stress with everybody. I really, really do. The more that these days go past and we look at not only what's going on in Syria and Iraq, but now in Europe, and then you throw some other stuff in the mix, throw North Korea in the mix, throw what China's doing in the South China Sea with what Russia has been doing with Crimea and other things. Submarines off of our coast looking at our internet cables that aren't ours, the submarines, that is. And the tragic events that have been going down in this country, not only dealing with racism in Ferguson, but shootings and the problems that we have with some of the police departments and around the country. All of this is being fed to us. And I love my audience so much, and I can't imagine, the emotion that all of us are feeling right now, because I feel the same pressures. And I remember about 6 months ago on this show, when I had given an example, I actually went and did the wrong thing, which was I turned on my local news here in Los Angeles. It's a mistake, but I did it. And I counted 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 stories in a row that all dealt with death and somebody getting shot. In a row. There's plenty of news out there to report on, good things, but nobody wants to report on that. They would rather, the mentality is we get ratings out of death. And that's what's going on. Everybody in this audience, you're dealing with this stuff all day long. And when, last night, I'm sitting up in bed back at home watching this raid live on television in Paris. And I'm a victim of that myself now. I find myself doing the same thing. I'm waiting for resolve. I want to see if they're going to raid this apartment live on TV. Is that what's really, that's the reality of today. The breaking news is how many planes are flying into Syria from Russia, heavy bombers, cruise missiles flying in. How many flights that we have done, the French have done, the coalition has done. It's crazy. And we've been dealing with that news now out of Iraq for 25 years. It's been a non-ending, perpetual machine. One that I have sporadically reported on and talked about on the show, but you guys know, I just don't like to do it. I don't like to report on it. Right now we're forced into, and I have to talk about it because it is important. But I really, honestly, I don't want to do it. But bringing Mike on and Kerry on today, you can see the emotion with the both of them and their commitment to what's going on. It's emotional, and it doesn't matter which direction you're coming from, what religious background you have, or what sex you are, what your age is. This is what we are forced to deal with every single day. So I'm asking everybody, and I've done it on the show. We need to take a deep breath and back up and try to figure out what is really in play here. Because I don't get it. I don't understand the complacency of the entire world. They want to talk about what's going on with ISIS. They want to show the beheadings. They want to show all of this negativity, and nobody wants to do anything about it. Nobody has. It's like they want to create it and keep it going. That's the image that I have. And it's frightening to me. And I think about, and I said it earlier, I think about our children and our grandchildren. And when they look back at us today, what are they going to think about us? The world. That this went on. I thought we were beyond all of this. I thought we were growing up. And these kind of things just don't happen anymore. The question, everything, that having to be in a position to sit here and fight amongst ourselves about this tremendous world problem. And nobody wants to step up and say anything. No, nobody. And it takes tragedies like this in France. It's not a false flag. It's not a false flag in that true sense. 100 people died in that concert hall by machine gun fire. That's insane to me. Why did that happen? Why was it allowed to happen? I know that I say crazy is as crazy does, and you're never going to stop crazy, and you're never going to understand crazy and what, but this wasn't a lone gunman, and what is perpetuating that? And is it because of our crazy invasion in 1991? And here, all of the dominoes fell in place. everything happened right in a row, and we all saw it happening in front of us, and nobody did anything about it. Nobody. And that's my point. And that's why I do this show. You know what? This guy's been calling in all night. What's up, Dino?
Well, I don't want to stir it up this late at night, but, one thing I was going to bring up to them is we all have very strong opinions on certain things. I'm like you on this one. I'm still not sure. But the one thing that was not touched on tonight, except you just mentioned it, which is what is being diverted from? What is our attention being diverted from? And I just want to put it out there that Steve Bassett's been in D.C. for the last few months trying to quietly behind the scenes get congressional hearings on disclosure. And one of the things he said just last month was the only thing that could just derail this now is if another terrorist attack happens. And here it is.
Yeah, that's a good point. It's a good point. I've gone through different cyclical things in my broadcasting career where I've had different events that have just bogged me down emotionally, and I just, I don't want to put my head in the sand and try to avoid the issues, but I would much rather come on this show every single night and have fun. Let's go. Yeah. Let's go talk about Egypt. Let's talk about Göbekli Tepe. Let's talk about Peru. Let's talk about Roswell, Area 51. Let's talk about ghosts. Let's talk about poltergeist. Let's talk about those fantastical things that we don't understand, and let's try to figure that stuff out. And then this stuff happens, and it bogs me down, and it bogs down my audience, and it bums everybody out. And the news and the mass media, Dino, I'm serious about this. I hate it. I hate every second of it. And the last thing I will ever do on this show is allow the emotions to get control of me where I start the anger cycle. I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to do it to my audience. What I want my audience to do is listen to somebody like Kerry, is listen to somebody like Mike, or Mary D. Jones last night, or Daniel Sheehan on Monday, and learn and try to figure out how we got here so we don't make these same mistakes tomorrow. And that's why I asked Kerry, and I asked Mike, and I asked Mary this last night, and I asked Costa and Daniel Sheehan this the other night, and I asked people on Coast to Coast on Friday, which is, what is the advice? Everything that we learned after 9/11, all the emotions and everything that we learned and the mistakes that we made, what is the advice that you would give to the people of Paris right now? What did we learn from that? And that's where we need to have our head right now. We can't have it angry at the Muslims or angry at this or closing down borders or not being compassionate to the refugees or any of that. We can't go there. We already went there once, and we know that wasn't the right way to go. Correct. And that is my thing. We need to stay positive. And I'll tell you this, and we're right up against the end, and I'm glad I picked up the call, Dino, and I'm glad you heard you say that. The one thing that we can absolutely correct things with, it's not pulling out of the Middle East. It's not. But that's part of it. That could be a solution, but that's not it. You know what? We just be. We don't get angry. We move forward, and we ignore. The more attention we give to any terrorist around the world, anybody that's trying to beg for attention, is pay them attention, and then that's what they want. As soon as they find out that we don't care, that it's not going to change our lives, and we're moving forward, nobody's going to want to be part of that organization, because then they've lost their way. And that is how I will always run my life, and that's how I'm going to run this show. With that, Dino, thank you for the phone call, my brother. You have a great, safe evening, and I will talk to you soon. All my respect.
Good evening.
I'll talk to you. And that's it. That's where I am coming from. It was a fantastic show tonight. I hope everybody just learned a little something. There's something going on out there. I don't know what it is, but we just may figure it out all together. Love you, Fadernauts. Thank you, Kerry Cassidy. Thank you, Mike Bara. Faded Black's executive producers, Rita Kamarian. Shows produced by Hilton J. Paul, Mark D. Kovar, LJ3, Renee, Mark Dunbar, and Jonas. Thank you, Dennis. Announcers are Steve Harder, Gene Vitoa, Mark D. Kovar, Fady by Dale. Webmasters Drew the Geek. Music Doug Aldrich. Intro Spaceboy. Happy birthday. SpaceboyMusic.com. Fade to Black is produced by KJCR for the Game Changer Network. Syndication is KGRA The Planet. Tomorrow night, Fader Night, open lines all night long. Let's rock this thing. This broadcast is owned and copyrighted 2015 by Fade to Black and the Game Changer Network. Cannot be rebroadcast, downloaded, copied, or used anywhere in the known universe without written permission from Fade to Black or the Game Changer Network. Go Beckley Tepe, everybody. Go knock one back. I'm your host, Jimmy Church. Be safe. See ya.